Black woman and the nigga bitch. Every problem that exists in the black community. There are two types of black women in America today. The good black woman and the nigga bitch. Every problem that exists in the black community solely rests on the failures of black women. At the end of the day, it is black women that have caused mainly a lot of the problems that we see today. Let's start off with the good black woman. She's honest, hardworking. She cares about herself, her image, and where she's going. She may come from a broken home, she may come from rough circumstances, but she doesn't let that define her. She dresses and carries herself like she's deserving of respect. She does not aim to impress niggas, or does she lower herself to nigga standards. She keeps her head high, her goals and ambitions forward. That's one thing a lot of these black bitches today don't have. Ambition, drive. The good black woman, she does. She's working to start a family. She's looking in pursuit of somebody that she can support, build, and grow with. Black women like this are only 25% of black women today. Now on to the nigga bitch, my favorite. These hair hat queens, these EBT all-stars, love to fuck up everything for black people. And they're the main contributing factor to why black people have no respect. It is black women like this that earn that angry black woman title. They're loud, obnoxious, masculine as fuck. They come with so many problems and so many issues that they don't want to address themselves, so they put it on to the rest of the world. A lot of these black women come from broken households, a bunch of baby daddies and a bunch of nigga bullshit that they bring to the table. Shaniqua and the EBT gang love to call themselves queens. If these bitches are the queens, what the fuck does the witch look like? These bitches are living in Section 8 housing in the projects and they think it's a kingdom. If this is the kingdom, bitch, what the fuck does the swamp under the bridge look like? It's an honest question. Many of these black women are insecure. They have low self-esteem, often because they come from broken single-parent households and been raised by single mothers that have abused them. Because there's a common trait. Most black women are very abusive to their children and mainly to their daughters because black women are jealous of their daughters. The daughters happen to be more successful, have more opportunity, have more things going for them, and in many cases, a lot more attractive. These black women are getting older and they feel jealous that their daughters in their 20s looking a lot more attractive and better than they did. And they have a fucking problem with that. So they'll do anything in their power to keep them from going forward. They'll do anything in their power to stop them from advancing. And all it does is continue the cycle of dysfunction within the black community. These nigga bitches are the worst mothers, the worst people to have children with, and they represent 70% of the black community. They have so much control, so much influence. Everyone panders to them and feeds into their bullshit. All it does is cause even more problems for us as black people because we're not willing to call it out. These bitches will spend thousands of dollars on hair that isn't theirs. They'll get with men that they know aren't shit and have children with them and then sit back and pretend that they're the victims. Sit back and complain that the world doesn't care about them when they've made nothing but bad choices and bad decisions. And they've listened to the worst people, surrounded themselves in the worst environments, and put themselves in the position that they're in currently and cry all about it. They will take no accountability. They will take no opportunity to do better. They will do everything they can to put you down and anyone who criticizes them. Now, even though those are the two most prominent, there actually exists three in the black community. The final one is the head house negress. The negress does everything in her power to keep her nigga bitches in line. She will encourage and enable the niggerish behaviors of black hood rats and then put down any good black woman that speaks up on the problem. The head negress mainly comes from a status of privilege. They're your actresses, your politicians, your celebrities, all the people who have money, power, and influence to influence the culture to go in a shitty direction. They will put down any black woman that speaks up and uplift any black woman that does bad because it's profitable to favor niggas and to appease niggas than it is to call it out. And that's what we're currently dealing with. Here are the traits of the head negress. Typically in their 40s. No children, no husband. If they do have children, they're a baby mama. If they do have a husband, they've been recently married in their 40s and won't be able to have fucking children. These bitches couldn't take care of the refrigerator and now their eggs are spoiled. They can't control a relationship or control themselves, nor can they keep a man. So the one thing they look for is control over people and narratives. That's why they pursue a political office or they go into a position where they can do it, be on TV and be the center of attention. These whores want to be the center of everything. They're power hungry and dick hungry and they'll do anything and they'll fuck and suck their way to the top and keep themselves in control. With all this being said, it's up to black women to call these things out. The more we have black men where they can do it, be on TV and be the center of attention. These whores want to be the center of everything. They're power hungry and dick hungry and they'll do anything and they'll fuck and suck their way to the top. Power hungry and dick hungry and they'll do anything and they'll fuck and suck anything. Power hungry and dick hungry. Whores want to be the center of everything. Their power want to be the center of everything. Their power be the center of attention. These whores want to be the center of everything. They're power hungry and dick hungry and they'll and be the center of attention. These whores want to be the center of everything. They're power hungry and dick hungry and they'll do anything and they'll fuck and suck their way to the top and keep themselves in control. With all this being said, it's up to black women to call these things out. The more we have black men calling these bitches out and the more we have black women calling this shit out and segregating themselves, the better we can be as a people. Nothing comes easy in combating a shitty and destructive culture, but doing nothing is the worst thing that we can do as a people. It's important for black women to call out these bitches and demand better for themselves and inspire other women to go in a different direction. And it's
absolutely disgraceful video. So here we have another absolutely disgraceful video straight out of our joke of a country where we literally let anyone and everyone move here and then blatantly disrespect all of our rules and customs. Here we have an enricher who thinks it is his right to walk into a public library and turn people's computers off, all for clicks and views.
Today, me and this man are going to be turning off running computers.
Sorry, there's no computers right now. Sorry, we're just saving electricity. Sorry, we're just saving a bit of electricity. No computers right now. We're just saving some electricity. Sorry, no computers right now. We're just saving some electricity. Yeah. We're just saving electricity. We're just saving electricity. We're saving. Sorry. Sorry, computer time is over. What? Computer time is over.
What's that?
Computer time is over. Sorry, sir, computer time is over. Computer time is over.
It is truly awful, right? And I hate everything about this story, and yet it's a really common story. We'll go through a few examples just because there is just a sacrifice of young people going on, not just only young people either, but going on the altar of diversity at the moment. And the old people who survive them are just told by the government, they've got not just like a nudge unit, but they've got like a community engagement unit and all that sort of thing. If you don't say that actually everything's fine, then there'll be hell to pay. There'll be race riots. There will be violence between communities. There'll be civil war. Who knows what they tell them, right? But you know that they're telling them something, because there's no way so many goddamn parents can watch their children be murdered by the diversity that's been brought to the country and be like, well, I mean, I'm just glad I'm not a racist. It's just mad, right? So this is the murder of film student Finbar Sullivan. He was at Primrose Hill in London and he was practicing testing a new camera. And for whatever reason, 4 black men decided to start a fight with him. They knocked him to the ground. One of them stabbed him in the leg and he bled to death. And it's just awful. It's just awful. It was filmed on mobile phones. I'm not going to play footage, obviously. But it's just this lad. Just 21-year-old lad. Just got a new camera. So, because he was a film student, and it's just like, what absolute savages. There he is with his parents, I'm sure he's a lovely lad. And then these fucking savages just murder him for no reason. Honestly, I'm just, and it's every day something like this happens. Every goddamn day something like this happens. He'd entered the park, joined other friends for was allegedly surrounded by the group of attackers, and then they just beat him up because they could, and one of them stabbed him in the leg, an unnamed man, by the way, stabbed him in the leg, and then he bled to death. And it's just like, right, that's just awful, right? I mean, I don't know how many kids these folks have. What if this is his only son? What if this is her only her only son? It's just so awful. I just can't get over how awful this is. Lives ruined, right? It's lives constantly being ruined because of our commitment to diversity. But what does he come out and say? He's proud to live in diverse London. It's just sickening. Sickening. Honestly, trust me, right? If this were me and my sons, this is not what I would be saying, right? So the 65-year-old father of Finbar Sullivan spoken out against racist reactions to his son's death. Oh, right, okay. Chris Sullivan told the New Journal he refuses to allow his son's name to fuel hateful rhetoric, insisting he's proud to live in diverse London and that Finbar will be remembered as a beacon of peace and love. Right, so, I mean, this awful thing happens. Ruins your family, kills your son, and the first thing you do is spout the rhetoric that led to this point. I mean, I don't know what to say. Like, at some point, you would think there would be a point where even the most committed wokeist would be like, right, okay, but this is getting the people I love killed. But apparently not. I mean, he just, God knows, he's proud. The hate should not be directed at minorities. It's the government and the Met Police. They're the ones to blame, not immigrants, not black kids. Well, the thing is, I think that the people who actually did the murder are the ones to blame, right? I just really think that proximally, directly, these people are the ones to blame. And if you think they're not to blame, then what you're saying is they are not rational agents. They are not people with agency. They are not actors in their own lives or in the world around us. And if you believe that, is it responsible to just allow them to be wandering the streets? Like, we allow people to be free in society because we assume that they are rational actors and they are able to take responsibility for their own behaviour. And if you don't think that, then the implications of that are quite dire, aren't they? I mean, what you're saying here, friend, is essentially they're not in control of their own thoughts or behaviour, and actually it's someone else who is in control of them. And therefore the Met Police and the government. I mean, indirectly, the government are responsible for this. To be honest with you, the Met Police probably bear the least responsibility for this. Sorry. But if I hear anything to the contrary, I'm really going to go to town with them, because Finn was above all proud to be a Londoner, proud of this multiracial, wonderful place we are in. It's just suicidal rhetoric. It's completely suicidal. It doesn't matter where Finbar's killer comes from, his race, colour, creed. It's got nothing to do with that. It's a class thing, and it's been created by the government. You don't know that. You don't know why they did it. You don't know anything about this. And the fact that you're like, how can I make this about the rich versus the poor? I don't think it was that, actually. I think what it is these guys saw your son as a skinny white guy who probably wasn't armed, probably was an easy target, and actually thought this will be fun. This happens really regularly, I'm afraid. I'm sorry that this has happened to you. Genuinely sorry this has happened to you. But there is a preponderance of knife crime in this community. This isn't your son is not a lone case. And it's I mean, the government indirectly for allowing these communities to be here, sure, but the ones to blame are the people who wielded the knife. Just that simple. And like, look, it's just mega boomer. So, oh no, the community or the colour or the creed of the person, none of that matters. It's like, it's a class thing. It's just so awful, man. It's so awful. Mr. Sullivan argued that young people have been abandoned, unable to access housing, employment, or university education, leaving them without hope for the future. You know, I think these guys didn't have much in the way of consideration for university, right? And I think they probably do live in a house, probably taxpayer funded. But I think that you just don't know what kind of people that you have in London, in certain communities, and you assume that just like your community, just like your son. And I don't agree. He also criticised media coverage for exacerbating the problem with harmful rhetoric around knife crime. I really blame the media. Oh, it's the media that's making these kids carry knives, is it? It's the media doing it, is it? These revolting newspapers keep on saying, knife crime, knife crime, knife crime. Kids are going to carry knives. No. You're putting the cart before the horse. The cause before the effect. Or the effect before the cause. They're carrying the knives, right? When I was young, the media wasn't going on about knife crime all the time because we weren't carrying knives. Kids now are carrying knives because in this wonderful, diverse, multicultural civilization, there are some communities that habitually carry knives and commit knife crime. And it's not all of the communities, and it's not all of the people in those communities, but it's a significant proportion of those communities, for some reason, engage in knife crime. We can have a discussion about why you think that might be, But imagine what it's like when you're 20 and you can't walk down the street without looking over your shoulder. Well, I mean, your son was literally that person and was murdered in that scenario. And you're sat there like, somehow this is the government's fault. Somehow this, directly this is the government's fault. Somehow it's the media saying kids carry knives, therefore the kids want to carry knives. No. It's because of the multicultural society. It's not.
So here we have another absolutely disgraceful video, straight out of our joke of a country, where we literally let anyone and everyone move here and then blatantly disrespect all of our rules and customs. Here we have an enricher who thinks it is his right to walk into a public library and turn people's computers off, all for clicks and views.
Today, me and this man are going to be turning off running computers.
Sorry, no computers right now. Sorry, we're just saving electricity. Sorry, just saving a bit of electricity. No computers right now. We're just saving some electricity. Sorry, no computers right now. We're just saving some electricity. Yeah. We're just saving electricity. We're just saving electricity. Yeah. We're saving. Sorry. Sorry, sir. Computer time is over. What? Computer time is over.
What's that?
Computer time is over. Sorry, sir. Computer time is over. Computer time is over.
Now, what exactly does this individual contribute to our society? Someone please inform me. I bet you Zach Polanski could unironically say, oh, we should value this young man here because one day he might pull himself together and invent the cure for cancer. Yeah.
Sometimes it's nice. I mean, I usually just drink water, but sometimes it's nice to have a little something, especially after a long hike. I don't know if I was drinking too many electrolytes or something or what, but it was starting to give me headaches and stuff. I didn't realize that you're not supposed to just drink only electrolytes. But anyway, this is a drink mix that's not electrolytes. It's just a drink mix to make your water taste good. So I'm gonna try it. Sometimes it's nice. I mean, I usually just drink water, but sometimes it's nice to have a little something, especially after a long hike. Something with a little bit of sugar in it, so. That's really good. I got a variety pack, so I have a few other flavors to try. Sometimes it's nice. I mean, I usually just drink water, but sometimes it's nice to have a little something, especially after a long hike. I don't know if I was drinking too many electrolytes or something or what, but it was starting to give me headaches and stuff. I didn't realize that you're not supposed to just drink only electrolytes. But anyway, this is a drink mix that's not electrolytes. It's just a drink mix to make your water taste good. So I'm gonna try it. Sometimes it's nice. I mean, I usually just drink water, but sometimes it's nice to have a little something, especially after a long hike. Something with a little bit of sugar in it, so. That's really good. I got a variety pack, so I have a few other flavors to try. Sometimes it's nice. I mean, I usually just drink water, but sometimes it's nice to have a little something special.
Welcome to Open Your Reality, everyone. I'm Chad. Many of you have heard the concept that we are living in a computer simulation. But what does that really look like from a practical viewpoint? In this video, I want to show you that and talk about some of the finer points of simulation theory while I'm at it. Many of the concepts in this video come from the work of MBT, and I'll be stating some ideas that may sound a little confusing, but I'm going to clarify each one. By the end of the video, you'll have a much better idea of why reality is the way it is. I believe these concepts are integral to understanding simulation theory. But before I get into it, I just want to thank everyone who supports or has supported the channel. Your help is appreciated to keep it going. And with that said, let's look at the first concept, and that is consciousness is fundamental and everything else is virtual. You've probably heard me say this before on my channel, so I won't spend too much time talking about it. But basically, consciousness, which is your awareness, your intelligence, your memories, is the only real thing in existence. All else, including your body, the earth, and even the universe, does not exist on any existential level. It's only virtual and exists as ones and zeros in a hard drive that simulates our reality. What this basically means is that your consciousness is not based in this reality. It exists elsewhere and is simply logged on to the data stream that renders our world. If the data stream was turned off, you would have no experience of your body and this reality. Instead, you would automatically tune into a different virtual reality. The same thing happens to us all at the moment of death. And this can be a difficult concept to grasp, but it's absolutely necessary to continue on as all the other ideas are based on it. The second big concept is that a virtual reality needs a consciousness to be rendered. If there is no consciousness, the data stream cannot be interpreted. It's kind of like the old riddle. If a tree falls in the forest but nobody is there to hear it, does it make a sound? The answer is no. This virtual reality only exists in the minds of the players. The server that simulates our world sends out data streams. It doesn't send rocks, cars, roads, phones, and computers. It sends a data stream of binary code. Consciousness interprets that data stream into this reality. The computer that simulates us, which I'll hereafter refer to as the LCS, Larger Consciousness System, doesn't actually compute something like a house. It only computes the dots that make up the house. Nothing can be in our reality that is not in the data stream, just like a video game. It's about information, and there is no objective reality. This is another big concept to wrap your head around, but really, the ancients have been saying this all along. The Buddhists and Hindus called it Maya, an illusory world where things appear to be real, but they are not what they seem. By the way, you may have to listen to this video a few times to comprehend the material. On first listen, you might intellectually understand, but it takes being exposed to it a few times to visualize and assimilate it. So don't be afraid to rewatch the video after you complete it. The next mind-blowing concept is that once something is rendered, it becomes part of our history and is solidified. Until that time, it's just a probability. What this means is that the future is not written, and it's simply based on a probability distribution. This essentially means that anything is possible. And this is because, again, we are living in a virtual reality where the laws of physics can be rewritten or broken anytime by the LCS if it deems necessary. However, don't mistake possible for probable. The chances that you'll flap your arms and fly away is highly unlikely, probably 1 in trillions, which explains why it has never happened to you. However, in a virtual reality, anything can happen, so there is still a possibility for it, however remote that is. The next concept ties into one that we already mentioned, and this is that nothing in our reality is rendered until a consciousness looks at it. For example, your brain is only virtual. It does not store or process anything. The brain does not need to be rendered because it is not seen. The only function of the virtual brain is to represent the rule set within our evolution that limits what we can do. The confusing part for most people is that if you cut a head open, you're going to see a brain. And those people will then believe that brain is inside a person, whether you open up their head or not. But the truth is that a brain need not be rendered until someone cuts open a head and looks for it. The LCS limits what it renders to save computing power and be efficient. Since we are all virtual anyway, and consciousness is where our memories, intelligence, and personality come from, not our brains, we don't need a brain. However, we believe we do because when a head is cut open, we see one, and science tells us all these interesting facts about the brain. And we actually just don't use 10% of our brain, we use almost all of it. Or maybe not. So why is a brain there in the first place anyway, you might ask? It's because our virtual reality evolved out of initial conditions and a rule set. Ours evolved from a rule set that defined how it works. The reason we see veins, organs, and such inside a cut open body is because those things were necessary to evolve our bodies to where they are today. But you don't need to render any of it until it is cut open. And the reason we see things when the body is cut open is because it has to be consistent with the rule set and history of the simulation. Think of World of Warcraft or any video game. Do the virtual characters actually have a brain? The answer is no, unless their heads get cut open. And then you may see a brain, but that's only because the makers of the game had to program something for the viewer to see rather than just see black with no colored pixels. I hope you are following me on this one. Basically, I'll just sum it up like this. The inside of a being has to be consistently explained from 2 different viewpoints. It has to be consistent with
Just last month, 123 countries around the world voted to officially declare slavery a crime against humanity at the United Nations. And 52 other countries, including places we've been telling you to visit, refused to even vote.
As Black Americans planning our lives abroad, this changes everything. The world just voted on one of the darkest parts of history, and the results reveal something most travelers completely overlook when choosing on where to go. So if you're thinking about living abroad, this global vote might change how you see certain countries and why some places feel very different when you actually get there. And if you've been following our journey, you know we are all about helping people find affordable, welcoming places to live, work, and retire abroad. We've lived in multiple countries, we track every expense, and we always try to give you the real story, both the good and the challenging parts of expat life. But today's video is a little different because we're talking about something that happened at the United Nations that every Black American and Black traveler that's considering life abroad needs to know about.
Because here's the thing. When we're choosing to spend our money, where to invest our time, and where to potentially build our future, the way a country views our history, our humanity, actually matters. And this vote just gives us a crystal clear picture of where these different countries stand.
So in the next few minutes, we're going to break down exactly what happened at this UN vote, why it matters for us as travelers and expats, and which countries we're reconsidering, but most importantly, which countries stepped up and said yes, slavery was a crime against humanity and why those might be the better destinations for us.
So let's start with the facts. On March 25th and March 26th of this year, the United Nations General Assembly voted on a resolution.
This resolution, led by Ghana, officially declared the transatlantic slave trade and chattel enslavement as the gravest crime against humanity. And here's how the vote broke down. So we had 123 countries vote yes, 3 countries voted no, and 52 countries abstained. So let's talk about the countries that actually voted against this resolution, because this is where it gets really important for us as travelers. Starting with the United States, which is our home country, voting against this resolution is painful, but not surprising to us any at all. The U.S. has consistently not acknowledged slavery's ongoing impact, and it's always resisted any talks of reparations. So for those of us who are looking to leave the U.S. for better opportunities abroad, this vote just reinforces why we've been looking elsewhere.
Israel's vote is also troubling, given their own history with genocide and crimes against humanity. Israel has been a popular destination for some Black Americans, especially those interested in religious tourism or tech opportunities, but this vote raises serious questions about how they view our history and our humanity.
And while Argentina's vote might surprise some people, it did not catch us off guard. We learned recently about some of the history of the country and covered it in one of our recent videos. We're going to link it in the description for you to watch after this video. To summarize it though, Argentina has a complex history with race, and they literally tried to whiten their population in the 19th and 20th centuries. This vote suggests that those attitudes might still be influencing their government.
Now, we're not saying that you should never visit these countries, but as Black Americans, we need to travel with our eyes wide open. And when a country's government votes against acknowledging slavery as a crime against humanity, this just lets us know how we might be treated by their authorities, whether we'll face discrimination in housing, employment, or daily life, or how our children might be treated in schools. And would we truly feel welcomed or safe there?
But real quick though, can you do us a huge favor and hit that like button? It tells YouTube that this kind of content matters and helps us reach more people who need this information. And if you're watching it on the YouTube app, tap that hype button that's right below the video. You can only hype videos in their first week, but those points really help small channels like ours reach more people.
But back to the topic, this vote is information, and it's information we're personally adding to our decision-making process about where we want to spend our money, our time, and potentially our lives. Stay tuned, because while these countries voted no, we will be discussing some countries who did vote yes. But first, let's talk about the 52 countries that abstained.
So 52 countries abstained from this vote, meaning they refused to say whether slavery was a crime against humanity or not, which in my opinion, they might as well have just said no. And when you look at the list, it's like a who's who of countries that built their wealth on the slave trade. Some of the countries that abstained included Canada, France, Spain, Portugal, the Netherlands, Belgium, the United Kingdom, Germany, and Italy.
Are you noticing a pattern here? These are European countries that profited the most from the transatlantic slave trade. Portugal and Spain started it, Britain dominated it, France, Netherlands, Belgium, they all built empires on enslaved African labor, and in 2026, they still can't bring themselves to call it a crime against humanity.
And this is pretty hard for us because some of these countries are popular expat destinations. You have countries like Portugal, which has been getting a lot of attention for its D7 visa and its affordable cost of living. You have Spain, which has the non-lucrative visa that many Americans have been using. And Canada's abstention particularly leaves a bad taste in our mouths because so many Black Americans have been using Canada as a progressive alternative to the US, but when it came time to take a stand on slavery, they decided they wanted to stay silent.
Here's the thing about abstaining. It's not neutral. When the question is, was slavery a crime against humanity? There's really only one morally acceptable answer, and abstaining here is just choosing not to condemn this part of history.
But here's the good news, because there were 123 countries that did vote yes, and some of these countries are exactly the places that we've been telling you offer the best opportunities for Black Americans and other Black travelers abroad. Some of the countries that voted yes were Ghana, who led the resolution, Kenya, Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, Brazil, Barbados, Mexico, the Philippines, and many more.
And just to add some real life context from our own travels, we actually lived in several of these yes countries, and based on our time there, we can see why they voted the way that they did. Let's start with Ghana, because their leadership on this issue has been incredible. Not only did they sponsor this resolution, but for years they have been inviting Blacks from all across the diaspora with their Year of the Return and the Beyond the Return campaigns. And with Ghana, these campaigns aren't just for show. Many thousands of people have been granted citizenship over the past few years.
And this is why Ghana just keeps coming up as one of those best destinations for Black Americans. Not only do they stand on being welcoming to all Black people everywhere, but they consistently stand up for African dignity and Black humanity on the world stage. And if you haven't heard of Deti December, it's a great time to visit Accra, which is the capital of Ghana, when the city transforms into a global Black festival with concerts, parties, and cultural events for a one-of-a-kind annual reunion. And for our community that's looking at places to live abroad, Ghana is going to be an excellent choice with an affordable cost of living and an escape from the hustle culture of the West. In Ghana, you're going to be able to feel anchored, living in communities where everyone around you looks like you.
Malaysia voting yes is significant because it becomes a major destination for Black American expats and digital nomads. Malaysia has the MM2H visa program, affordable healthcare, and a growing expat community. Their yes shows that they understand and respect our history, and if you've been following our channel, you know how much we genuinely enjoy Malaysia and consistently recommend it, as it's a great place to visit and live long term.
You, of course, are going to need to check out Kuala Lumpur, which is the heartbeat of Malaysia, and there are some other great areas to visit like Penang and Georgetown. The food throughout the country is amazing with a blend of Malay, Chinese, Indian, and indigenous influences. And the country is also very safe, offering a high quality of life while still remaining incredibly affordable.
Moving on to Thailand, the land of smiles has always been welcoming to Black Americans, and their yes just reinforces that. With multiple visa options, affordable living costs, and excellent healthcare, Thailand continues to prove itself as a destination that values human dignity.
It's one of the most ideal places to visit for a trip of a lifetime or for a new life abroad. There are so many amazing areas to choose from. You, of course, have the energy and hustle of the capital city, Bangkok, which has everything you need. But if the chaos of the city is too much for you, you can check out Hua Hin for a much more laid-back vibe. It's particularly great for retirees, but it's also an amazing beach trip location also. You, of course, have some of the popular regions like Phuket, Koh Samui, Pattaya.
Here's Jeff. And now, from beyond our dimension, this is the Jeff Mara Podcast. Here's Jeff.
My guest is Louis Valentino, author, professional astrologer, and honorary member in the Ashtar Command. Louis, thanks for joining us and welcome.
Namaste, thank you. Thank you for having me on your show. I really appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you being here, Louis. And what started for you first, ET contact or your interest in astrology?
Well, the first thing that started in 1978 was I started practicing transcendental meditation. I got initiated into that particular meditation technique to kind of release stress and get a clear mind, that sort of thing. Then after a while, I was introduced to astrology, probably about 6 years into that. I've been a regular meditator now for 48 years in August of 2026. So I have never stopped meditating for a month and then went back on. It's been 48 years straight. I do it twice a day. It's just a part of the whole idea of kind of like a cell phone, the cell phone wears out and you got to replug it back in and get recharged. So I get my recharge every day, twice a day. Then I got introduced to astrology through a close friend who was also a meditator, and he did my chart for me, and I got so interested that I went off into astrology. That was about at the age of 26, I believe. And so then I just kept delving into it and getting, reading books and on astrology from various authors, famous authors. And then I just decided I wanted to do my own readings. So 35 years ago, I started to do more professional readings. And then the ET thing started around the same time as the astrology thing, actually. So we're looking back, maybe 1984. I got a reading from a gentleman who was channeling Lord Ashtar from the Ashtar Command. And I found that reading to be I've gotten several readings over the years. You can imagine most of us who are into spirituality, we end up getting a psychic reading or going to a psychic fair or, reputable people that we trust. And it was a very good reading. It had a lot of information in it. I was told by Lord Ashtar that I was part of, this is going back at least 8 million years ago, as a rainbow warrior in the Orion Wars to help protect some of the civilizations that were the offset of the Lyra constellation. That was our first expression, the Lyra constellation. And if I don't mind, can I hold up books from different authors to talk about this? Is that not good? Or
Sure, that's fine. But before you go there, for the people who are meeting or learning about Ashtar for the first time, who is Ashtar?
Lord Ashtar he was born on the planet Ashtar, which was in the vicinity of the Venus in that area. He was chosen by Sananda, Jesus Christ, to be the COO. So Jesus Christ is the CEO, and he wanted Lord Ashtar, he felt qualified to keep the intergalactic universal confederation of worlds in order and try to keep it organized somehow. There are supposedly 12 dimensions, and there are other authors that feel there's 7, I heard 9. But to me, 12 is the magic number. We have 12 calendar months. We have 12 disciples of Christ. We have 12 notes on the musical alphabet. We have supposedly 12 dimensions with 12 levels in each dimension with 12 sub-universes. And so that creates the whole picture of the Federation, and it has different levels. So Ashtar is basically someone that, as Jesus Christ is, and Lord Krishna and Lord Buddha is involved as the planetary logos right now, not the universal logos of the universes, but of our planet. And they watch over things. They try to make sure that things don't get too out of control, even though we are seeing a lot of out of control violence over the last 100 years on our planet. And it's gone on quite a long time in the past. So he's basically 7 feet tall. The book, if anybody wanted to get this, but the only person that I know the best channeler for Lord Ashtar was Sister Tuella. So she wrote a book on Ashtar. Okay, that's what he looks like. And then the painting on this is done by the late Salela Winkler, who was I'm going to read some information. I'm not like an encyclopedia and know everything, so I got to read sometimes. But Salela Winkler was a highly clairvoyant artist who painted many Earth and cosmic masters between 1969 and the 1980s. She worked for Walt Disney Studios for some time as an artist, later moved to California desert, where she lived near prominent figures in the early UFO movement. Her work includes postcards featuring various celestial beings and spiritual guides. I think it's like 24 postcards that she put out at that time. So that picture was one of the pictures by her of Lord Ashtar there. You see Lord Ashtar being depicted on some of the YouTube videos as being muscular, and he just got out of the gym, and it's kind of a bit superficial, I feel. I think when you get to the 7th level, you got the first 6 levels of dimensions. Then you have the next 6. So you got 12 altogether. When you're Ascended Master, you've gotten into the 7th level. Now you've learned all the lessons in the lower 6, and now you're ready to learn more lessons from the 7th to the 12th. Lord Ashtar and a lot of the Ascended Masters hang out the 7th dimension to the 12th dimension. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is it's more etheric. It's more light bodies rather than dense physical. We have very dense physical flesh bodies. Most people, your viewers, already know that, from the videos they've heard. So Yeah, he's 7 feet tall, more pale skin, blonde hair. They have the ability to live a holographic. The more, levels you go up, the more holographic life gets. So he has the ability, as most of them do, to be in several places, if not more than that, at the same time doing work, rather than just being localized in one linear lifetime like we are. He has never had a lifetime in physical embodiment on planet Earth. That's another thing to consider.
Are you in regular contact with him?
He wanted, in the reading, he said that if you are truly extraterrestrial, you'll have some silver and gold rays in your auric field. He said that depending on how much gold, silver and gold, would determine how much service that you've done in the past. And he said that I had a lot of gold in my auric field, that he wanted to, come through me and this sort of thing. I tend to be shy about this because we really should be on the path of self-empowerment at this point. Meaning, if we can't, we can get just as codependent on another entity, on another dimension, as we do even with people here on Earth in a flesh body. So I tend to shy away. I will ask him for questions once in a while. I think what's happening, Jeff, is that I'm having this experience of direct communication. I would even say it's telepathic, and because of my astrology chart, I have a Cazimi conjunction. I'm going to talk about this a little bit, explain it to your audience, between Mercury and the Sun in the sign of Pisces. Cazimi means in the heart of. It's so close to the Sun that the rays of the Sun miss it, and it's not considered combust. It's not being burned up and heated up. So because it's within 17 minutes of the Sun, it's in the heart of the Sun. And what does Mercury do? Is the communicator. It's about, and it's in the 9th house, which is higher consciousness and higher knowledge and philosophy and all that. So I think my ability is, I do automatic writing for most part if I'm writing a book, okay, which I've written. But if I want to ask Lord Ashtar a question, I can go directly to him and say, I'm asking you about this. How do you feel about this? And a lot of us who've been around for so long with him, he loves to just, talk to us like he's our friend, because he knows how hard and difficult it's been for volunteers of light to come here on this planet, lifetime after lifetime. We're talking hundreds of lifetimes, if not thousands, where we've had to leave behind our light bodies and our abilities in storage. So when we came here in a physical flesh body, we left behind our abilities in light bodies in storage because we had to come down here in a flesh body and experience what everybody else is experiencing in order to try and help people take the next step forward.
Earlier you mentioned that for the last 100 years, we have had a lot of violence on this planet.
We ever.
Why doesn't he and the other ETs step in and do something to help us?
It's a great question. Even for Lord Ashtar, he gets frustrated sometimes with the karmic board. He literally goes there sometimes and slams his fist on the table, and says, we've got to get this thing moving. It's so multidimensional. This planet is not a user-friendly planet when it comes to extraterrestrial invitation. We just, we shoot at a balloon, for God's sakes, a spy balloon. We spend, almost $1 million or $500,000 on a rocket to shoot. You can imagine what would happen if they showed up and, you're getting this unfriendly welcome, at the door. So I think it's been held up in that sense. The other thing was, we all thought it was going to happen in 2012, where there was going to be a mass, contact with UFOs and stuff, and the Federation we would join back into the Federation of Worlds and get out of the quarantine status.
What are we quarantined about?
We got quarantined because we killed our own mother, which was Lemuria. Atlantis decided it wanted to go in a negative direction. what Lord Ashtar calls the do your own thing crowd at everyone else's expense. When people use their free will and decide that they want to go more in a overpowerment position and overpower. So Atlantis was one of the daughter continents of Lemuria. Lemuria, according to the authors Sheldon Idle and Virginia Scene, they've written a book called way back, this was, well, not way back, but this was published, I think, in the early 1990s, You Are Becoming a Galactic Human, where they talk about the fact that Lemuria, according to his information, started 900,000 years ago. And that Atlantis and Egypt and China, these were all daughter continents of Lemuria. So about 26,000 years ago, Atlantis decided to destroy Lemuria, and that kind of negativity broke off the connection and put it into quarantine because you're not paying attention, you're acting like a bunch of crazy people, and you've disconnected us from the higher dimensions. So now the communication, the telepathic communication, all that gets minimized. And basically we broke our commitment to them, you know. And when, now that's not the only time it's happened either. I mean, it's happened along the way other times too. So the idea that the Earth is forming what's called a graduation period now that we're in order to be ready, they wanted enough people to be ready. That's the stalling, is we'd like to have more people. I mean, my opinion to Lord Ashtar, and sometimes I can get frustrated, you know, with Lord Ashtar and Jesus, Sananda, Yeshua, whatever you want to call his entity, Lord Krishna, Maitreya, the White Brotherhood, Lord Buddha, all of them, Enoch and Metatron, and, you know, the whole archangels and the Ascended Masters and everything, is they don't really have a choice at this point. If they would like the planet to continue in its survival here on Earth, then they've got to make a move. I would say within the next couple of years, they've got to make some kind of a major move. It's like a domino effect. So once somebody tips the first domino, the rest of them kind of, you know, go down in line. We need somebody to switch, you know, trigger the switch there, put the light on, so that the social hypnosis on this planet is disrupted considerably, and people can start to think, oh, geez, what's this about?
Do you have contact with any other ETs like the Pleiadians?
I do. I have, especially Aim. Aim is the entity that I channel, that I started channeling through automatic writing. Probably, I think I started on full moons. I would ask a question and ask Aim, what's going to happen with this situation after contact? What's going to happen, like economics or whatever, you know, question I wanted to ask him. And Aim is on the 7th level of the 6th dimension. He is a part of the Pleiadian Council. The Pleiadian Council is more etheric. Okay, it is part physical, but it's more refined physical, more refined etheric. And they download information to the Pleiadians in their culture so that they can decide what they would like to do with that information. It's free will, it's a true, how should you say, true republic of spirituality, you know. And the political system there is almost not, I mean, if you want me to read a question that I asked him about politics, you know, I can give you an answer here. Okay. Sometimes I like to read things because it's hard for me to recapture, you know, in a really effortless way what I've channeled. He says here, when I asked him, what is the political ideology of the Pleiadians? He says, our political system is non-political. We do not encourage competition or take sides. We certainly do not need to manipulate each other through any physical means, since we work with light frequencies of energy very well. Love is free in our culture. It is not something we mold with the machinery of mind. We do not live in fear as you do, so we have no need to protect love from itself. Politics is another form of duality. Regardless of the form it takes, Humans are disconnected to the unbounded silence of bliss deep in the mind, heart, and soul. Think in terms of competition, an environment of duality. Who is right and who is wrong? Your institutions make promises they cannot keep because it is run by man's monster mind, built up to protect it from losing security in life. But the building up of mind only perpetuates the need to protect life, which was freely given to Earth humans a long time ago. Then he says, we see abundance as rays of golden white light and other colors of the rainbow you witness. If your weather environment is set up to see these colors, and we exchange these color rays with everything and everyone we meet, we have grown out of the need to own anyone or anything, because light waves flow so fast here, it's almost impossible to get stuck in matter. It's impossible to get stuck in a relationship or a job where you're flowing. So that's, if you have any questions about that, that's their kind of general model of politics, that this idea of competition and creating a duality, who's right, who's wrong. This is very ripe in our political system right now in the United States. If you haven't noticed.
Well, let's say tomorrow the ETs come and they fully disclose themselves, right? What will our political and even our economic systems be like? Will we be under galactic credits or something else?
Yeah, well, what it is, this is kind of galactic credits at the beginning. I see it in a few phases. The first phase is going from what you're looking at is Bitcoin. What else is it? Bitcoin, then the quantum financial system, digital wallet. The people are going to be getting. We have to go baby steps. You don't eat a banana and just rip it apart and just start eating it. You peel it one thing at a time. The skin has to be peeled. So I think the very end, even the introductory to a new financial system is going to be quite profoundly different than what we have right now. But they don't have any physical form of money in the upper dimensions, especially when you get into the sixth and you start going up towards the seventh. You get a barter system. The barter system, they feel that once a group grows beyond 100 people, it is susceptible to ego manipulations. Everything has gotten too big on this planet. The federal government and all these organizations, the international banking system of families, everything's gotten so large that nobody seems to be responsible for anything. And then all these ghosts come out in the end on the TV of who did this and who stole that, and this was illegal, and that was, So they feel that when we come back into small family groups, we're able to fulfill the law of Christ of love thy neighbor as you love thyself. Right now, it's love money as you love money. I mean, everybody, that's like the ultimate security of freedom that we're taught through economics right now, is that if you have more money, you have more freedom. And children are where the gold is in the Palladian culture, and many of the intergalactic cultures, the Syrians, the Arcturians, Andromedans, they take care of their children. That's the first thing that they want to see, that they're gaining confidence in their early years when they grow up.
Do you have a timeline for disclosure?
Yeah, I do. I wanted to talk to your audience about astrology a little bit with a timeline. One of the things that the timelines, the reason why some of them haven't come, the question back to the beginning of the interview, why haven't they reacted, or especially at certain times when we thought they would. I mean, Sister Tuella, when she wrote Project World Evacuation, this came out in 1982. We were supposed to have a major pole shift, and there was going to be a major evacuation. And it's my understanding that they can evacuate a planet in less than 15 minutes if they an emergency situation. Okay, but they're not good with time. They're not good with time. Time is, see, Saturn, the planet Saturn in astrology, that rules time in karma. It's the disciplinary of the zodiac. You got to show up on time. That's Saturn. They don't have that. It's more, it's like a spontaneous coming together. They They don't have to evaluate every second or minute that they're doing something and then measure it and all that kind of stuff, you know. So astrology actually becomes a very important role in trying to figure out what time first contact would be. So the planets that are involved right now, I feel, is called a minor grand trine. These outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. They're the planets that are furthest away in our solar system. So they take longer to move through a sign. But when they're, like, for instance, Uranus takes 7 years to go through a sign. Neptune around 12, 14 years. Pluto anywhere from 13 to 20 years it'll take to go through a sign. When they're aligned up, and having a relationship with one another, that is usually indication of, are we getting downloads of information from higher dimensions, you know, that is setting up something. And I feel like from May of 2025 to May of 2029, we have a minor grand trine happening between these three planets. These are the transpersonal planets, meaning they cover the collective consciousness of the world. They're not as personal planets like Mercury and Mars, and they affect us more individually and personally. So the minor grand trine, now the major grand trine, see how I have that big green triangle? That's what a regular grand trine looks like. I call this divine grace. There's no stress in the trines, okay? Now see, the minor grand trine is a trine between Pluto and Uranus, but it's sextiling Neptune at the eye of this minor grand trine. And of course, Neptune is it's the higher octave of Venus, so it's very spiritual. My prediction is that in the ripest times, we are getting new downloads, like you would get an upgrade on your computer, let's say from Microsoft. Now you got 8.0, you got 9.0, and it keeps going up. We've had the first exact minor grand trine in August and September of 2025. Now, the reason why I'm saying those dates is because that's when the degrees are exact. It's at 1 degree, all those three planets, right? Then they're going to retrograde and go back. They're going to come back at 4 degrees in July of this year, 2026. Then they're going to retrograde. They're going to come back at 6 degrees in June of 2027. But the energy still continues. But if you looked at the first minor grand trine period, we had the longest shutdown in America of the government. Everything was shutting down. I mean, it seemed like everything was standing still. People were telling me they needed to sleep more. They needed to, they were having more telepathic communication type of things going on, okay? So it's a spiritual download from higher dimensions, let's say from the 12th, 11th, 9th, and they download to the frequency that specific dimension can handle. So we can only handle, so if they download too much, you're seeing it already. So here we have this one time, okay, the first time that was August and September, and then it extended to the rest of 2026. We had the longest shutdown. Well, what happened during that time? We had the airports losing airway time. Okay, so now we don't have as many planes flying in the air. The air traffic controllers were ready to do a walkout at one point. They were going to close the whole air traffic controller situation down in the United States. So because of that, they could easily download information because there wasn't a lot of ley lines and, the accidental grid lines, the light lines that run along the paths of you could call them like the meridians or the nadis, these pathways where energy flows, light energy flows. That was pretty much interrupted for that time for them to download. They downloaded the foundation to what they would like to express in the second minor grand trine, which is coming up in July of 2026. So now we're going to be possibly, hopefully, seeing a lot more UFO sightings. Okay, and a lot of other channelers have been talking about this. that we are going to start seeing so many sightings and people getting them on. This is from July, even June, I would say, of 2026, all the way to the rest of the year. But it's very ripe in July. And what is happening in July of this year, 2026? We have the anniversary of America, 250 year. So it's going to be a very big celebration. And, so we may have contact during that time, at least from the air. I don't feel like we're going to get them to really be here in person to be introduced by the government or something like that until we get into 2027. That's been confirmed by other channelers also, and other authors. So I concur with their assessment that I think that in 2027 we could have it sooner. The nuclear situation, the nuclear bombs are plentiful. We're hearing on the news now because that can trigger automatic connection. Now, I got this off the internet. I don't know if it's correct, and your viewers can tell me if any information that I'm giving out with dates is incorrect. They can. I don't know everything. I'm not God, So if they want to help me also, establish figures, but the amount of nuclear weapons in the world per country, and this ought to give you a good idea as to why are we so concerned about Iran having one nuclear bomb, okay? When the fact is Russia has 5,580. America has 5,225. China has 600. France has 290. United Kingdom 225. India 172. Pakistan 170. Israel 90. And North Korea has 50. So we didn't learn from World War II. We obviously didn't learn all the thousands of people that got killed from just a couple atomic bombs. That was our first expression, at least in our history, that we are aware of, where we've had atomic bombs being dropped to destroy a civilization. And then, of course, the problems that come after that for people to continue their life. It was just phenomenal for a while. So this is the reason why there has been more UFO sightings and all kinds of stuff going on since World War II, and the Federation getting more involved because they're like, well, we thought they might learn from that. That's why they let it go. We thought we might learn from that. We haven't learned from it, okay, obviously.
Are you saying that they won't let us destroy this planet with a nuclear
That's what
war?
I'm saying. Yeah, that's the clause that I've heard from Lord Ashtar and a lot of people, channelers, that they will not allow a nuclear war, major nuclear war. They've allowed certain things like the tsunami that hit Japan and hit the nuclear power plant and that sort of thing, and there was radiation released uranium. They will allow that, but they won't allow a massive nuclear war. They will come in at that point, and you will see a lot of spaceships. And everybody will be very aware that they're stopping something, from happening.
If you compile all the astrological data with everything that you've learned from the ETs in your communication, what can you share with us that's coming in the near future besides the sightings in July?
Well, I think I originally thought it would be a massive, you've heard people say they're going to be all over the planet and show up all at the same time. I don't feel it's going to happen that way. I would concur with Bashar and Daryl Anka. Okay. I would concur with that channel that is going to happen one step at a time. So you may get a few countries that are involved with sightings to the point where they want to introduce certain ET races to the public. The human appearing races will be the first to be introduced. Okay, the Pleiadians are human appearing. A lot of them think they're Nordic looking. They're blonde haired and all that. Not all of them are, but most of them are. The problem is with the UFO community, I feel, is they get too much into the Zeta Reticuli project, which are the big eyes, and the smaller bodies. And some of these other races, everything is perfection. Everything is perfection. So I'm not trying to make a judgment here and be critical, but why aren't we talking about everything? I'm the kind of a guy, put all your cards on the table. Don't tell me just one part of the story. The Zeta Reticuli with the abduction cases. Whitley Strieber, you had on your show, interviewed him. Now, there's a guy who I just admire because, I mean, what he's been through and how stable he appears in his personality is very incredible. I mean, that's like a miracle, you know. But he has said that they smell like ammonia, all right? And they've taken a lot of body fluids from him. So is this the race that is more evolved, or are they evolved technologically, but maybe they're not evolved spiritually? This is the distinction the UFO community sometimes doesn't make. Yes, they're 3,000 years ahead of us technologically or more. The Palladians are 8,000 years ahead of us technologically. The Syrians probably, I don't know what their numbers are, but they're way ahead of us. They're way advanced than we are technologically. But it's the spiritual element of the heart that I think gets lost, because God knows if you're an alien, and I don't even like to use the word alien, but if you are from another race and you are hypnotizing people to the point when you look into their eyes that you have no defenses anymore and they want to take things from you, they probably aren't too heart-centered, are they? I mean, most of the people and experience that I've heard a lot from the abduction cases, they're not experiencing heaven on earth. Let's put it that way. They're going through a lot of psychological adjustments and emotional. What is going on? What are they doing? So you have the hybrid races also that need to be reintroduced. That's that's his specialty, really. He wants to reintroduce the hybrid races to planet Earth because they deserve to be loved by their original parents if they're still alive, you know, from the time that they got abducted.
Do you see UFOs?
I did. I had an experience. I'm glad you asked that question. This was right after I wrote the first edition of my book. It was I wrote the book 2009, and then in July of 2010, it was in Madison, Connecticut, off of West Wharf Road, where there was a fireworks display happening. And I was with a friend that I had worked with as a produce clerk at that time. And we wanted to go see the fireworks. We're starting we parked the car because we couldn't, there was too many cars parked on West Wharf Road. We had to park on the Main Street in Madison, Connecticut. So we're starting to walk down the road and we look up and we see two spherical balls of golden light floating. No sound, very graceful, very effortless. And they floated for a while, and then not even a half a minute, we were looking at them, and then they went down the road towards the ocean, towards Long Island, and just boom. But it was all very graceful, very effortless. I would say they were about as big as if you take a basketball and you multiply it times 5. All right, it would be that big. Then another one came about, I think it was, 30 seconds later, after they left, and then followed them. And then when I went down to the beach, you had all these people waiting for the fireworks. Well, there was one guy who had a reputation of, he just was always doing something drunk, or he was not your average normal person. But you would think he'd be the last person who would come up to me and say, "Did you see those 3? Was that UFOs, Lou?" He would be the last person that I would even, So I said, yeah, that those were UFOs. It was very obvious to me. So that has been my only physical experience with the UFOs. I think some people haven't had as many experiences. They may not need them. I'm a firm believer, 500% of what's going on. I don't need to be on a ship or, that sort of thing in order to be that. I'm not, trying to say my experience is better than others, but some people will say, well, how do you know there's ETs? Have you ever seen one? And then I would say, yeah, every morning when I shave, I see an ET. So we have to get back to the idea that there are human beings here that look what we consider to be normal as part of our race here on planet Earth, that are actually volunteers of light from other higher dimensions that decided to come here and try to help planet Earth out.
You describe 2024 to 2044 as the preparation phase for humanity. What exactly does this look like according to the Pleiadians?
Well, what they want to do is this is getting to know one another. This is a time when we have physical contact somewhere in that. If we go beyond 2044, let's put it that way, I think we're all in trouble in terms of, our predictions and everything. I think we need to have contact as soon as possible because we've already had, Sister Torello's, what was the other guy, George Van Tassel. I think he was the first person to channel Lord Ashtar. This was in, I think, 1953, July, if I'm not mistaken. And then the Sister Torella came by. She was the clearest channel. Then we had 1987, which was the harmonic convergence, where you had the first large global meditation that raised the frequency enough so we didn't have to go through a lot of the catastrophes that some of the people that were predicting. Then we had Sheldon Idle, Virginia C come out in the 1990 something with their book. And we were supposed to go through a photon belt of darkness for 3 days. 1996, we were supposed to do that. That didn't happen. Then 2012 came with the Mayan calendar and all that. Well, that didn't happen then. So here we are in 2026. And I think what they want to do in the preparation phase is, we're getting introduced. We're getting to know, what is your economy look like? What does your romantic life look like? What does, how is it that you live 700 years without any problems in your physical body? Things of that sort. We're getting to know each other in the preparation phase. That's the Pluto in Aquarius length of time. It's 20 years. And I picked Pluto because Pluto is where everything is hidden. It has to get out of disclosure. It's too much into, it has to be disclosed. It's too secretive, everything. It's been so secretive since the Roswell incident. Even the very first UFO crashes, believe it or not, were in Italy that were recorded. This was in 1931 and 1933, if I'm not mistaken. And they did get some aliens on those ships. They did do autopsies on some of these aliens, especially the Roswell incident. And, people, if you go on YouTube and go in a search to hear a couple of people that came forward with interviews on their family members, their grandfather, whatever, who was directly responsible for going to the ship in the Roswell incident and seeing the three beings, two of them that were passed over and one of them still alive walking around. She said that looked distraught and, and worried about the fact that, my comrades have been killed here in this crash. And, some of the stories that have come out from that.
You write about relationships. What can you tell us is the difference between soulmates and soul twins?
Suppose that we have an oversoul. Remember, I talked about 12 being the magic number. So in your oversoul, which is a larger, let's say, culmination of who you are today here on Earth, your individual soul, you have 12 parts of that oversoul, 6 male, 6 female. So you have 11 other soul twins that came out of that oversoul. All right? These soul twins vibrate more in regards to who your essential nature is because they came from the same oversoul. Now, they're not always the same growth. You can meet a soul twin. I've had this experience where they're vibrating at a number 3 and you're vibrating at number 9. They may not even notice that you're a soul twin, but you may notice it. You ever hear about these relationships where people say, why don't they pick up on the same feeling I'm picking up on? I love them so much, I want to be with them, but they seem to have no idea as to how I'm feeling about it. That can be like a soul twin relationship. The soulmate relationships are more challenged, okay? That's the alcoholic father or the teacher at school that just bugs you and is trying to discipline you and just becomes a scary monster to you. The people at work, maybe somebody at work who's not doing their job, and these are the soulmates. They create the lessons so that we can get to a soul twin. But in my life now at 68 years old, I feel like even the soulmate and the soul twin relationships can be a distraction from connecting with your own individual self. So we have to be careful that we're not always projecting and looking for fulfillment in the objective world all the time. The spiritual path is mainly going within, yoking back in yoga, going back to sitting quietly with yourself. We aren't forming a relationship with silence. This is the major disaster of our whole civilization, is that we're constantly looking for fulfillment outside of ourselves. And the kind of stress that builds up in the nervous system, you're seeing expressed as war, wars that go on. So what was the original question? Oh, soulmates, soul twins.
Is the soul twin the same thing as a twin flame?
Yes, it is. And the other thing I wanted to mention quickly, you cannot find a soul twin relationship in an astrological chart. Only the soul can feel the soul of a soul twin. Not all soul twins are romantic. I had a soul twin relationship with my grandmother, So you can have soul twin relationships outside of the romantic personal avenue of life.
If somebody met a soul twin, what would they experience? How would they know that this is a twin?
Yeah, I mean, it's really an intense knowingness of attraction. The attraction is pretty, and it's kind of like transcends a bit the physical. The physical, it's okay. I mean, even like when I lived on Venus, sometimes I'll meet people that I think, especially the girls, I'm thinking she definitely was on Venus. The beauty is exquisite, but the beauty goes deeper than the physical, because now you're getting into almost there's a gap of time. When you meet the person, you feel like time has gone somewhere else. You do, but you do feel, the word I want to use the most about this is comfortableness. It's like sitting in the most comfortable chair you could ever imagine. That you feel that comfortable around somebody that you just don't even need to talk. You can telepathically communicate. You can, you feel like you've known them forever, even after 5 minutes, that sort of thing.
I want to bring you back to something. You said that you lived on Venus.
Yeah.
When was that and what was it like?
It's a great question as to the timing of it, because I think it was, well, let's put it this way. Sanat Kumara and his other half, Lady Master Venus, are the overlookers of Venus. From my understanding, nobody lives on Venus anymore. They're all in the etheric, and a lot of them live in, Centauri. I forget the first name of it. I think a lot of the people from Venus live there now. Alpha Centauri, in that area. And I was under his tutelage a couple of times. There's this idea that 144,000 souls, the special Eagle commanders, Lord Ashtar calls commanders and commandresses. The Eagle group was the inner core volunteer group. That Sanat Kumara didn't do it often. Millions of years would pass, and you'd hear a siren sound, and everybody would drop everything. That planet Earth was in trouble and needed our help. Now, that was part of the Orion Wars when I became the Rainbow Warrior, was under the tutelage of Sanat Kumara. He was the planetary logos for Earth for a long time. I've even seen someone say from the Theosophical Society that it could have been 18.5 million years ago that he started in the etheric, and also went with him to help build the city of Shambhala near the Gopi Desert, which is desert now, but it wasn't desert then. it looks like, and your viewers can help me with this, with timing of events, because time, and it might have been 2.5 million years ago, where we went to help him build and bring the threefold flame, that meditation technique at that time. There was no light on the earth at all. And he volunteered to leave Venus, the planet Venus, and his wife behind in order to try to help planet get from step 1 to step 2.
You wrote
So this dude made a video, went pretty huge. South Africa is ruined, before and after revealed. Let's get into it.
This is what a street in South Africa looked like in 2010. But this is what it looks like today. Mountains of trash as far as the eye can see, people living in the trash, children playing in the trash, people defecating in the trash. You can practically smell it from here. And this is not just this one road. It is happening all across South Africa after years of black supremacy, radical hatred of white people, and the Marxist communist socialism of the ANC
Oh my
political
Lord, that
party,
looks like
which is
shit.
destroying the nation. And now, finally, some people are starting to turn around and scratch their heads and wonder, wait a second, maybe white people weren't to blame for all of the problems of South Africa this whole time. Maybe.
I think I have one of those videos that shows some of the before and after. I don't know if there was music on it. Let me see. Dude, this is how crazy South Africa. I have to play that too. Check this out. I want you to know. So in 1970 and 1980, South Africa had its own homegrown nuclear program. They had nuclear weapons. They had to give them up when blacks came into power, right? Apartheid ended, all that shit. Part of it was they had to give up their nukes. I don't know. I wasn't born in that era, so I wonder how much them developing nukes was actually a problem and why they ended up, you know, America ended up turning on them and screwing them over. So you have a nuclear program. You have your own ballistic missiles and nuclear weapons in the 70s and 80s. Fast forward to today with black leadership. It says, how did South Africa go from doing the first heart transplant, inventing the Rui Volk helicopter and one of the world's strongest economies, to this? This is the president right here of South Africa. Remember, he got dressed down by Trump in the Oval Office. They're celebrating a tap, bro. That's the president. The president. I want you just to understand the president is here celebrating this kind of, you know how like we cut the ribbon on a brand new bridge that's like absolutely massive, stupendous in size. It's like linking two parts of the country that wasn't before. The president is now standing here celebrating tap, a tap in the ground. Look at this shit. Watch the magic. Magic's happening. Bro, that's fucking crazy. Bro, that's fucking crazy. Damn. I can't find the before and after. We'll watch it in this original video, though. It's horrendous looking. There you go. We're from nuclear weapons to celebrating tap water. Oh, here it is. This is it. Look at this. So South Africa, and this is how quick it happens. This is what's scary. From 2010 alone to 2026, this is what DEI does on a national scale. DEI. Yeah, that's a fun way of putting it. Oh, it has music. One sec. Let's just mute it. Look at this road. Holy shit, bro. Look at this. White run, black run. That's what it is. White run, black run. White run, black run. And it keeps going. Look at that. Damn, bro. What the fuck? What even is this? How? Where did the road disappear? Insane, dude. What could this possibly turn into? It's seriously just a road with a sidewalk. Oh my Lord. Of course, it has regressed into the rest of Africa. Literally, the rest of Africa looks like this. There's this crazy show I watch of these truckers in Africa, and they're forced to drive through the like craziest conditions. It's like most deadliest trucker show or something like that, but it's like Africa edition. Me and my girl are addicted to watching that. Dude, these guys drive through torrential storms. They drive, and all their roads are shit, and the government doesn't pave anything, and there's no maintenance of it, anything whatsoever. It takes them days to traverse like 5 miles because the roads are so bad. Nothing is It's mind-boggling. Look at this. Look at this. This is just a beautiful side street, right? A little intersection, and it's gone. And it looks like it was bombed, and it turned into a war zone, and damn. Look at this with an overpass right here. Let's see. And it's bombed out. Damn. And it looks decent, and then it's not. Holy crap. Holy crap.
The problem had to do with something else entirely. Something else far less politically correct than blaming white people for everything. Hello everyone and welcome back to the show. Really good to have you here. In today's episode of What on Earth is Going On in the World, we have got to talk about South Africa. Now, South Africa has turned into an absolute dump of a place in recent years.
Oh, you don't
say. I had
say.
no idea just how bad it had gotten.
You don't say.
Burger King donated $2. They had nuclear-grade technology. Now they have nuclear-grade retardation.
Hey, it's hard out here to maintain a system you never created. They didn't create and build a European civilization. How could they possibly maintain? That's just the truth. Even, what's that one channel we were watching with that guy from Africa? He was saying this capability. They lack the capability. Frank Zanu, the African dude. How do you expect to have run a country in European fashion, a European style country being ran by people that aren't European? It makes sense.
Until I zoomed in to Google Earth, went into Street View and started to look at the before versus after of.
Yeah, it makes sense. Difference between having someone cook for you versus having someone cook or having to cook for yourself. That's true. And Africa is going to get held back by this stuff because they're never going to admit it. No African wants to really admit it. Very few do. Let's say there's a problem in the culture, with the people, with the state, with corruption. Doesn't matter what you blame it on, but they need outside help to at least make it functional in some sense and maybe potentially be taught how to run it properly. If this is even the proper way, maybe a European style civilization just doesn't bode well with them. Maybe they need their own, something unique. Who knows?
Mem to me donated 10 British pounds and 0 pence. Winston, Serpent ZA says the blacks pull up all of the pipes and electric cables to sell for scrap. Constant brownouts. These people have never founded a successful civilization.
Sheesh. Yeah, the third world's wild.
So many of these different neighborhoods, and you start to see how what was otherwise these beautiful, pleasant regions has now turned into a scene from District 9.
District 9.
YTZN donated $5. 90% of Africa is pretty much shit and it's only cause of its own people. I'm African from Mauritania, flag of Mauritania, but live in Virginia.
There you go. Only because of its own people. Well, the gimme dats mentality, remember? Gimme dats. You owe everything to the elders in the village whenever they ask for money. If you're even doing remotely well and they'll start asking you for money, you got to give it to them. There's literally nothing you can do. You have to hand shit over.
It has turned into a slum town where every piece of metal has been stolen for scrap metal. All the windows have been knocked out. Trash has built up everywhere. And I had no idea just how bad it had gotten. It also in the government is almost unparalleled. It is a country on its knees because of hatred against white people and all the black supremacy and the communist Marxism of the ANC party. And we're also seeing all across South Africa these slogans, these chants about killing the white people, killing the Boers, who are the white people of South Africa. People going around with mannequins of babies on sticks. People going to university wearing t-shirts that say kill the white people. I've got to say, not that different from universities in California or in London where white people are being blamed for everything. But this is what happens where you actually take that ideology to its logical conclusion. You get people saying this kind of thing without even worrying about the consequences on social media. Kill all white colonial settlers in South Africa, all 4.7 million of them. I want them all dead, one by one. Now you have to remember that when it comes to white colonial settlers in South Africa, a lot of the black people living in South Africa today only arrived after or during the same time as white colonialization of South Africa, because what they brought with them was economic potential, economic prosperity, jobs, employment, sewage systems, running water, electricity, all the things that the Europeans brought down to South Africa. And
yeah, these people only came there once the whites built something. Like once a country was there and formed, that's when everybody started coming on down. Give me that. Give me that, bro. Where are you Bantu people from? Not South Africa? Give me that shit. You're white. You're not African. We're actually African. Give me that.
As a result, the land, which was basically uninhabited or slightly inhabited by tribal nomad peoples, suddenly got flooded by people from other parts of Africa moving down to live off of what came from European settlement in the region. And so it's actually more true to say that there are far more black colonial settlers of South Africa than white people. And so the idea that it's white people that are only the colonial settlers and never the black people is laughable when you have a better understanding of the history. But we'll move on from that, okay? So now let's take a look at Google Maps to get a better idea of the transformation which has occurred on the street level. So this is Johannesburg. This is very, very central. That's the famous tower there. You've got sports stadiums here, and these are the residential blocks. Now this is the famous Suicide Tower. It's like an empty tube of a building, and as you can tell by the name, people were jumping from the top. And yeah, it was overtaken by these gangs. It was occupied. It was turned into a slum by these squatters that were just dumping trash.
That looks like some Judge Dredd shit, right? You remember that building from Judge Dredd? That's what that looks like. It's like the slum that Judge Dredd goes into.
There. And when they eventually cleared it out to try and renovate it and take back control of it, they found huge numbers of bodies at the bottom. But let's move on to this area here. So let's go down to the street level. Let's drop the little orange guy and see what it looks like. This is what it looked like in 2010. A relatively clean and well-kept place, looks very safe, and something that looks similar to what you'd find all over the United States, perhaps San Francisco because of the hills, Europe, Australia. It's a very familiar looking scenery for a Western kind of country. Got it in your mind? That's the before. This is the after.
Oh, Lord.
Piles of trash. All the windows have gone. You got people squatting there, hanging up their laundry. No windows whatsoever. Okay, so no safety. You've seen fences. You've seen
Roman Prime just gifted stolen. 5 subs.
Hey, thanks, brother. Appreciate you. Wow. Welcome in. Perfect. Perfect. Thanks, brother.
And sold. Anything metal has been stolen as well for scrap metal. So notice in the before picture, you see this road sign here. Perfect. Now look at today. Gone. All the road signs have been stolen and sold for scrap metal.
They really took everything, right?
There. And you've seen in just a few short years what was otherwise a safe-looking neighborhood turn into an absolute war zone. It looks like a war zone. Look at it. Looks like a scene from The Walking Dead. But there's so much to cover, so let's move on. This is another scene here from this neighborhood. It looks relatively clean and safe and quiet. This is 2009 or 2010. This is what it looks like today. Okay, piles of trash, what looks like sewage runoff.
No, the YouTube stream got turned off. Yeah, we went to Kick exclusively for a reason. There is an issue there. Yeah, can't stream to YouTube.
Everything down this street looks like an absolute slum, a war zone. Glass has been punched out. You're seeing whatever this green stuff is here. And this is just in a
Mold.
few short years, okay? Now, let's move
From
on to this
water.
other location, this quiet suburban area. Not exactly the wealthiest place in the world, but nevertheless, something that you'd see and find all over Europe, Australia, the United States, where you have these homes, you've got these walls, a little bit of graffiti there, but nothing out of the ordinary, really, okay? So this is 2009. This is 2013, okay? About the same looking thing here.
Okay.
This is what it looks like today. It looks like an absolute
Holy
bomb has
shit.
been dropped on this building. You've got fires being set, charring the brickwork outside, every piece of scrap.
Can we be honest? Is it culture or is it race?
Perfect.
Hey, thanks, brother.
Perfect.
What in the world? Appreciate you.
Perfect.
So the question is it culture or is it race? Genuine question. So for those that speak and say it's culture, how does it happen in the Caribbean, in America, in Europe, in Africa, and everywhere else? So remember, when you say culture, you're going to have to say which culture. Because there's a ton of different African tribes and nations, and they all have their own culture. So if it is culture, then why is it that it's Haitians doing that over there in Haiti? Why is it that, you know, Jamaicans in Jamaica? Why is it that blacks in America in their neighborhoods? Why is it that the Africans in whatever neighborhoods are in Europe? You know, why is it that multiple parts of sub-Saharan Africa? Yeah, they're firing 3 times. I see it too. Yeah, that's another bug. So what's going on? Is it culture or is it race? Or is it both? Or is it neither? Or is it, what is it? I don't know. You tell me, bro. Because it's weird that you have this similar phenomenon happening with the people all across the world, internationally, in multiple systems that they're living in. You could have maybe pointed at America and say, okay, dude, systemic racism. There's a problem with America. They have a problem with blacks. And then you go point the finger and say, look, but in Europe, they're doing very well. You know, crime rates are low. They've integrated. They're high earners, all that shit. But that's not the case. It's not the case in Haiti, not the case in Jamaica, not the case wherever they become the majority. So why? What is it? It's a simple question that literally explodes liberal minds. And you can't talk about it. We can't have an honest conversation that maybe people are different. Maybe people are better at certain things than other people. We all have different talents and gifts, both on the individual level, but probably on the racial level too. On the ethnic level, you know, like East and West Africans are different. One of them can run really far. It's the East Africans, right? And the West Africans can run really fast. I think I have that. It's either that way or reverse. Anyways, if you look at who dominates all the marathon races and long distance running, it's not all Africans. It's just a certain group of Africans. And then if you look at who dominates like sprinting, again, same shit, just a certain group. So who dominates strength sports? Europeans. Who dominates academics? Asians. Who dominates yada yada, and go on and on. And you can find out that there are some group characteristics that could be applied on a broad stroke, but doesn't actually hold true for every single individual in the group. But you could just make an inference in general. You understand? Not all Asians are smart. Not all blacks are fast. Not all whites are strong. Clearly.
Metal has been sold. All of the trash is piling up, so there's no waste management anymore. No one's paying those taxes. It looks like people are even stealing the tiles from the floor, from the street, to be sold elsewhere. Tons of trash, okay? People are burning what looks like it might be plastic, which is going to create smog and carcinogenic chemicals there. And
I want to say the genetic advantages stop once you get to the brain. In what way? Are you saying there's no differences in the brain? Because that's actually false. You can measure brain volume and it's different across the races. If that's what you're saying. I found that one out recently too. Asians have the largest volume, brain volume, then whites, and then it goes down the rest. And there's certain differences like the prefrontal cortex and other parts of the brain specifically that deal with other functions, and it tends to play out But, you know, we'll see. And you said sarcasm? Yeah. Yeah, we're all the same. Well, they're...
YTZ
I'll
and
read this
donated
next.
$5. My home country Mauritania is one of the richest African countries in natural resources, but its own sons betrayed it and sold it out to be destroyed. Mind you, the population in only about 6 million.
Wow. Yeah, it's a small little place. It got sold out, which is sad. Poor little countries. Let's see. So, here we go. Let me grab this link. Just an interesting tidbit. I ran across this quite literally today and posted it on the community post just so you guys could see. I'm not inferring nothing. This is from Harvard Medical School, okay? I'm not saying shit here. I'm just going to read this to you guys, and you will infer whatever the fuck you want to. But nonetheless, very interesting findings recently. So, how farming changed us. Ancient DNA reveals natural selection sped up in recent human evolution. Says a massive study of ancient DNA from nearly 6,000 people across more than 10,000 years in West Eurasia reveals that natural selection has shaped modern human genomes far more than previously thought. Before now, studies of, ancient human DNA had identified only about 21 instances of directional selection, the type of natural selection that occurs when one version of a gene that confers an extreme form of a trait, such as lactose tolerance, after infancy proves advantageous enough for survival and reproduction that it gets passed on to more offspring than less advantageous versions of the gene and rapidly rise in frequency across a population. Okay. The dearth of evidence suggested that directional selection has been rare since modern humans arose in Africa some 300,000 years ago and began to split. And by the way, the out of Africa theory is also dead. Into different population groups around the world. There was multiple hominids evolving all at the same time all over the place. The kick stream ended abruptly. No, the kick stream's working. Yeah. You might have hit.
I'm all right. You nervous? Hey, I'm out here with Miss Cassandra.
Officers have just arrived at the getaway motel of 28-year-old Cassandra Douglas. For the last 24 hours, she and her brother have been on the run after 3 of their family members were found dead and burned in the desert.
99% this is either an animal or a person.
That looks like a human, dude.
And as these local officers prepare to confront the primary suspect of the most important case they've ever worked on, nothing could prepare them for the horrifying discoveries they're about to make.
Calls the police! Anyone inside, make yourself known!
This is a horrible nightmare.
What are we looking at here?
I don't know, you tell me.
This is one of the worst things that I've ever had to be involved with.
It's a routine Friday afternoon at the Otero County Sheriff's Office when dispatch begins receiving a series of unusual 911 calls from a young man.
Communications.
Hi, good morning. I'm hoping to file a police report, and I might need some assistance doing so.
Okay, and what's your first and last name?
Kane Mays.
Okay, and tell me what's going on.
I've been living abroad for the past 6 years, and I found out that my father died last year shortly after Christmas. I have recently returned home. I'm living in New Mexico again, and I was hoping to return to the family property. Since his passing, tons and tons of family possessions and property have all gone missing and have either been sold off, lost, or stolen, and I'm looking to reassume possession of the property, but there are people squatting in the house.
Do you know who these people are?
I do. I could give you first and last names, but not anything much else.
Kane goes on to clarify that the squatters inside his deceased father's property are actually family members, mainly his Uncle Victor, who allegedly took over the property and is living there with Kane's grandmother and his stepbrother. He also seemingly claims that his Uncle Victor has sold off valuable assets, including firearms and expensive jewelry belonging to his father. The dispatcher logs the information Kane provides and passes it along for legal follow-up. However, not long after this first contact, on a Monday morning in January 2025, Kane calls again. But this time, it's for something strangely different.
Dispatch.
Hi there. I was calling because I'm wondering, what would it take for me to request a wellness check on somebody?
A welfare check on...
My grandmother, Mary Mauser.
Okay. The sergeant is aware. They are on an emergency call right now. As soon as they're done, we'll head up there to do a welfare check.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, miss.
You're welcome.
A couple of hours after Kane requests a welfare check for his grandmother Mary, he calls police again for the third time to share new updates.
To La Rosa Communications, you're on a recorded line. How can I help you?
Hi, my name is Kane. I called earlier regarding wellness.
So Sergeant Nordquist is going to give you a call back. They have not responded there yet because they've been tied up with a warrant service where the person doesn't want to come out.
No, that's okay. We stopped by on our way down and everything is locked up tight. That's why I was returning your call, because you said that I should call you back.
All right.
And if they're tied up with an emergency,
yes, sir,
we got to worry about the officers and make sure that they're still...
Thank you so much for understanding. I will let the sergeant know then.
Following this latest call from Kane, the welfare check is officially canceled, and officers are no longer dispatched to the property. At this point, the dispatcher has no reason to suspect anything other than some kind of family dispute, and the situation appears to have resolved itself for now. In reality, something far more calculated is already in motion, and the family involved will soon be implicated in a scheme that will lead detectives down one of the most twisted murder plots they've ever handled. That same Monday, a few hours after Kane's 911 calls, a man arrives at the police station in the afternoon with an oddly timed request.
Hello, sir.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing well. Sergeant Nordquist.
Mike Blitz.
Mike, it's nice to meet you. How can I help you today?
Okay, well, my brother-in-law helps us take care of my mother-in-law.
Okay.
And he normally is very conscientious about showing up when he says he's going to show up and everything.
Yeah.
And we have this, we schedule him. We've been taking care of my mother-in-law for 7 years.
Okay.
And she's 92 years old. So anyway, we normally communicate quite a bit during the week and stuff,
So, are you wanting to check on him or your mother-in-law?
No, on him.
He lives on Nogal.
Yes, see.
And somebody had called earlier. We were out busy, but someone had called in for a welfare check, but they canceled us prior to us getting up there because they said whoever it was, and I can go look and find the name, that said that house was locked up tight and that nobody was up there.
The person Sergeant Nordquist is referring to is Mike's nephew-in-law, Kane Mays, and it appears that both Mike and Kane are concerned about family members. Though the family dynamics are becoming tricky to keep up with for the sergeant, Mike is about to make one thing about Kane crystal clear.
Do you know a Kane Mays?
Yeah, I do know him. That's part of the problem.
Okay, so what's the problem there?
Okay, well, I think he's trying to keep us from going over the look. The house is owned by his father. Yeah, well, the owner of the house, was Frank Beret, and he's deceased.
Frank is deceased.
Yeah. Victor, his brother, was living with him along with Kane's grandmother and his stepbrother, Killian.
As Mike continues explaining the complex family dynamics to the sergeant, one thing becomes clear. 3 people are missing, all close relatives of Mike and Kane. But before Mike leaves, there's something serious he needs to warn the sergeant about.
I'm going to get one of my deputies and we're going to go out to the address and see what we can see. See if we can find some...
Okay, let me give you some heads up. His dad had a lot of guns, Frank, before he died, and he taught Kane how to shoot. And when Kane came the other day, I didn't finish my story. When I pulled up there, and I hollered out the window for Vic because the gate was closed, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then a person comes to where I can see about this much of them, right? Up there. And I go, hey, Vic! And he goes, no, it's me, Kane. When he walks down to me, he's packed. He's armed. And I says, well, have you seen Victor? He says, no, nobody's up here.
Okay.
So I think if I were you, I would go up there with one of the two guys, because I think he knows how to shoot, and I don't know if there were any like rifles and stuff like that where he could be, But anyway, so I had his phone number. But then after I had his phone number, he had my phone number. He started texting me. Your grandmother's missing. Your uncle's missing. Your stepbrother's missing, right? And this is what he's talking to me about. He's a pathological liar, man. I think he's up to no good. I really do. You guys got to be really careful.
He said he just got off the line with Sergeant Nordquist, or North. He never called us. Because we never contacted him.
It's becoming clear to the sergeant that something is off. Sensing this won't be a routine welfare check, Sergeant Nordquist takes note of Mike's concerns and prepares to head out to the house. What makes this case so unique isn't just the crime scene officers will soon walk into, but the way police have to piece it together, using advanced forensics and strategic elicitation to cut through the lies. And as the investigation unfolds, this will prove to be one of the most resource-intensive cases for everyone involved, with constant pressure, long hours, and difficult decisions at every step. Many of us deal with our own pressures and emotional struggles, and sometimes all it takes is talking to someone to begin working through.
Yeah, I was gonna say everything's stacked and piled.
Yeah. You good? The doorknob was locked on this? Yeah. Literally, when I went like that, I was like, the door just kept going. I was like,
Puzzled by the home's disarray, officers leave after confirming no one is inside. With boxes stacked throughout the home and both of Victor's cars, the blue and green Subarus missing, officers assume the family may have moved out. In reality, the clutter wasn't accidental. It was intentionally staged to conceal evidence of foul play, and it has done exactly that. None of that is apparent now, so Sergeant Nordquist calls Mike on the phone to update him on the situation. This is where the two men will slowly start to pick up on just how sketchy this whole ordeal is.
Hello, sir. So we went up to that address. So we cleared the residence. There was nobody inside. There's no vehicles matching the descriptions of the Subarus you gave on the property. So, but there was no signs of a struggle, no signs of any foul play that we could determine. There were some boxes that appeared to be like being packed up, but other than that, that's all we got.
The thing is, all three people are missing that were staying there at the house. But definitely the king is the kicker. That he's the one that did all that. He called, got your name, and then he was able to send me that text saying that he spoke to you.
Yeah.
And then he called back later and canceled the deal, right?
Yes, sir. And on the face of it, it looks super sketchy, but there was no indication that we could see of any foul play or
a struggle or anything.
Struggle, yes, sir.
As the sergeant tries to reassure Mike, even he begins to wonder if the scene is hiding more than it appears. A few hours later that afternoon, Nordquist returns to the station and calls Kane, trying to understand why he canceled the welfare check and why, most strangely, no one was inside the house.
Hi, this is Sergeant Nordquist at the Sheriff's Office. Is this Mr. Mays?
Yes, sir. How are you?
The reason why I'm calling is in regards... earlier this morning, you had contacted our office to do a welfare check on a family member?
That's correct.
Who is that family member to you?
It's my grandmother.
Your grandmother? Who lives up there with your grandmother at the 121 No-Go?
That would be an uncle of mine and my brother.
Do you have any information on them attempting to move anywhere?
I was told that my brother and my grandmother are planning to move soon.
So the reason why I'm calling is we went up to that address because Mr. Bleddy stopped by.
Yeah, he was the one who recommended that we give you guys a call. He seemed pretty upset. He was looking for Vic.
So we went inside the residence to make sure that nobody was hurt or injured. Nothing was broken into. We didn't see any signs of struggle or any signs of foul play. Did you text Mr. Bleddy at all today?
I mentioned that we stopped by and I had given you guys a call and everything was okay.
Well, who told you that everything was okay?
Dispatch coordinator. I don't remember her name.
Because the information that I got was that you called back and said you went up there and everything was okay.
Correct.
Now, what was in that text message to Mr. Bleddy? That's what I'm confused with.
I let him know that I had tried to call you, and the dispatch officer said that you were tied up with, it sounded like a pretty hostile situation.
The way the text message reads was that you had made contact with me, and I know for sure, and you know for sure that didn't happen, so that way it looked kind of weird.
Naturally, Nordquist doesn't know what to make of Kane's message to Mike, in which he seems to falsely claim to have spoken with the sergeant. Suspecting Kane is hiding something, Nordquist ends the call and immediately requests a search warrant for a second search of the house. While they wait for the warrant to be processed, all police can do now is hope the missing trio turns up safe. A hope that is far removed from the gruesome reality awaiting them just a few hours from now. Early on a Wednesday morning that week, around 10 a.m., something strange happens about 200 yards from the house where the trio vanished. A passerby takes notice and calls 911.
911, where's your emergency?
Yeah, I'm phoning about there's a fire off into the mountains area. I called before, about 2 minutes ago. So
we drove down the road to see if we could get a better view of the fire to help you guys out.
Okay. Well, we have already toned out the fire department, so we will get units headed that way to see if they can locate.
Yeah.
Okay.
I stood at the top of that road for a second. They'll be able to see it.
We'll let them know.
Shortly after the call, 2 deputies are dispatched to investigate the fire. Once they arrive at the reported location, one of them spots something disturbing in the distance. A burned, flipped-over vehicle matching one of Victor's missing cars.
I got tire tracks towards the direction I walked. Just follow the path. I got the vehicle. It's smoking. I got couple sets of shoe impressions, tire tracks, all that. 99% sure there was a cage and a spinal cord in here, in this vehicle.
Given the circumstances, Brad told me about it. These are all fine. Look right in here.
That looks like a human, dude. These things burn hot.
Yeah.
So, hopefully Slater's and his team is on the way.
As officers look inside the car, they can see what appears to be the burned remains of 3 people, too badly damaged by the fire to identify them at the scene. Suspecting a homicide, they call in Sergeant Nordquist, and it wouldn't take long for him to connect the dots.
So, this might be a Subaru that's it's a vehicle that they haven't accounted for yet. Look right here.
Oh, for sure.
You see it?
Yeah. So, do you see a soul anywhere?
I've been looking in here. Just given the circumstances, this actually might be one of the missing people.
What's that right there?
I was looking at that too.
Oh, yeah.
That's a skull cap right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's by one of our missing people with the missing vehicle.
From up here?
Huh?
From up here?
Yeah, I guess Brad, he suspects some guy named Kane killed most of his relatives that live here. And this vehicle, I think, is a Subaru. Looks like
this is really fresh, dude. There's more over here.
He had to have put it out himself, because it would have caught this whole place on fire.
What officers are beginning to suspect is horrifying. Not only do the burned remains likely belong to the 3 missing individuals, but given how recent the fire is, the person responsible may have burned the bodies just hours ago and could still be within reach of police. So, once the scene is secured and the bodies are sent for autopsy, a nationwide BOLO is issued for Kane Mays. Although police now believe they know what happened and who's responsible, they have no idea just how far beyond Kane this plot goes. There are more players involved, more targets, and a multi-state homicide case that will exhaust every resource police have.
You gotta find him. We're afraid of him.
There was one time I should have died. Probably should be dead twice.
And he was so aggressive. I thought we were gonna die. I thought he was gonna shoot us on the property.
More than 24 hours after the fire, officers remain unable to find or contact Kane, raising concerns that he may be on the run. But this is when the initial autopsy results come in, confirming what officers had feared all along. The burned victims are Kane's close relatives, his uncle, Victor Perea, his grandmother, Mary Mouser, and his stepbrother, Killian Mays. Beyond confirming their identities, the autopsy offers little actionable insight. At least one victim had a confirmed gunshot wound to the head, but the other remains were too severely burned to identify all injuries. Investigators surmised that the victims were likely incapacitated well before the fire was set. Following these horrific findings, they begin digging deeper into their main suspect's background. It turns out Kane Mays had been living in Canada and working as an engineer until just a few months earlier, and had several documented domestic incidents involving his wife. Hoping she may know where her husband is, officers reach out to Kane's wife on the phone, where they'll find out she might know far more than that.
Hello, my name's Justin Mitchell. I'm a detective with the Otero County Sheriff's Office in New Mexico. Are you Samantha?
Yes, I am. I had a feeling I might receive a call from you at some point since I did give you guys a call.
Yes, ma'am. You want to tell me from the beginning, like how you met him and your relationship with him?
I've actually been speaking to the Ontario Provincial Police because I thought he was messing with me, like I had mentioned. So I'm also filing a case against him right now, but because it's Canadian and now he's in America, who knows if that's gonna... But he was physically violent with me, and I have evidence of it. Yeah, we just met playing video games online, and we started an online relationship, and for a few years, it was just basically we would talk. And then one day, he calls me up and he says that his father disowned him, and he needs to move here right away. He'd always been verbally towards me, and just in general, he had a weird attitude towards things. Eventually we moved out. Brace yourself for this one, because I feel that I didn't come forward. Told people that he had beaten me, and now this has happened. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, we both had an alcohol problem, but I never drank before I met him, and he definitely, like, pushed that on me, and he pressured me to drink a lot. Like, there was always a pressure. He wanted me to do it. He just did start hitting me. He did start getting violent with me. Probably should be dead twice.
Samantha's statements are nothing short of horrifying. But even worse, she would share a terrifying recording with detectives, captured during one of the numerous domestic incidents involving Kane.
You just let me go.
And I do every time. When you ask, I'll let you go. I don't want you to.
Please stop.
Is this your neck? Is this your neck?
The rest of this recording is too disturbing to play on YouTube, but it clearly documents an alleged serious domestic violence incident involving Kane. Investigators now know they must act quickly, as more people, including Samantha, could be in immediate danger. So later that day, after securing approval for the earlier search warrant, police return to the victim's house, but this time, they bring specialized chemicals called Blue Star, used to hunt for hidden blood, bullets, and evidence that may have been cleaned up. And what they're about to uncover would reveal just how many crucial clues officers had missed during the initial search. Inside the kitchen, detectives spot one of 3 spent .22 caliber shell casings, along with a live .22 round. Using Blue Star, they also detect high-velocity blood spatter throughout the home. As the search continues, investigators notice clear attempts to clean up the scene, and given the precision and speed with which the bodies were disposed of, they begin to suspect a grim possibility. This was not the work of a single perpetrator. But then officers find something very strange. Condoms and pregnancy tests stored with cleaning supplies near the well house and septic area. Following these disturbing findings, police would continue searching the property and contacting Kane's relatives, worried he may already be far away, possibly even on his way back to Canada. A few days later, as detectives continue searching for leads on Kane, they decide to pay Mike and his wife, Lourdes Blett, a visit. Just like Kane, Lourdes also has personal ties to all 3 victims. Victor Peria was her brother, Killian Mays was her grandnephew, and Mary Mouser was her brother's partner. But before investigators can hope to learn anything about Kane's whereabouts or possible accomplices, they must first deliver the tragic news to the couple.
Yeah. Got a nice name.
Hi, Lourdes, how are you? Detective, how are you? What's your first name? Bobby. Hi, this is Ashley. Ashley, do you mind if I sit down?
Well, I would like to give you guys a little bit of information. As I told you yesterday, do want to let you know that there was a vehicle fire that was in close proximity to the house. There were 3 subjects that were not able to be identified that were inside of that vehicle. I cannot tell you who those subjects are.
On the property? In the Subaru? Or that?
I can't tell you what vehicle it was for sure right now. Again,
so you already know there are 3 people?
I can't
But you
tell
know
you
there's
who
3
they are.
people?
Yes. I'm really sorry that I even have to share this information with you.
This is a horrible nightmare. I mean, it's horrendous.
I agree with you
It's
100%.
murder.
This is
no.
one of the worst things that I've ever had to be involved with.
Upon hearing the news, Lourdes is beyond devastated. What makes this situation even scarier is that she fears whoever is responsible may not be done yet.
He's a psychopath. He's a psychopath. Kane, I didn't want to say that. I didn't want to drop him in the doodle, but he's crazy. You gotta find him. We're afraid of him. He hasn't even asked how my mother is, and that's his blood grandmother.
We're working.
Oh my God, how can you be? Michael, how can it be?
We hoped for better, but
No, it's not even imagination.
We are working on so many different leads right now
In my
and trying
work-
to
in my-
connect
just
everybody.
catch him. So everybody will be safe because he's crazy.
In my worst imagination, I thought I didn't know how to tell you guys this, but I was going to say, can you look for the infrared and see if there's any graves on the property? That's what I was going to tell y'all. You know how
The
they
grave
can tell
ended up being a car.
That's what's been
something had
sitting
been
with
burned.
you.
And this has got to be the worst crime
This
of the
is-
year in New
this is
Mexico. I
part
mean,
of-
I haven't heard anything this horrendous on the news lately.
Yet.
Indeed, this kind of killing doesn't happen every day, but investigators are about to hear another person of interest from the couple, someone who may know more about where Kane is.
So in our job, you will hear law enforcement say a lot, you know, it's what you know and what you can prove. And right now, we're working on collecting the information so we can prove what we believe we know.
Yeah, see, the thing is, we don't know what he did all those years. Wherever he was, what did he do? Who did he know?
And
what
we're
was
also
his?
working on
We have no idea.
I would even be worried about his sister, Brecken Ross, so-called
Yeah, that's-
stepsister, you know? When that one text he sent me about working with the, over in Roswell or whatever he said.
Yeah, he was saying something about
like-
helping out his sister with her crazy ex.
Crazy ex, yeah.
Something like that you had shown me.
Yes, I think it was a relationship. I kind of remember that at the beginning, that she wasn't with that guy anymore because of that.
Was
Like
that?
I was supposed to feel sorry for her. I mean, when they first were like chit-chatting and everything.
Oh, in the
like,
conversation,
"Yeah,
okay. She's talking about the
Yeah, I
Thanksgiving
think
Day
that
call.
they said something about that.
Mike would go on to identify the woman in question as 28-year-old Cassandra Douglas, Kane's half-sister. And based on his concerns and the evidence from the home search suggesting at least 2 people were likely involved in the cover-up, detectives begin to wonder if Cassandra is the next key piece to the puzzle. So with this new lead, the interview concludes, and investigators shift their focus to Cassandra and her potential connections to the homicide. Coincidentally, as investigators prepare to call Cassandra the next day, she reaches out to them instead, with a very peculiar 911 call.
Hi, is there any way that you would mind putting in a welfare check on my brother, Kane Mays?
What's the address?
He told me that he was going to 680 Cox Canyon, Cloudcroft, New Mexico.
680 Cox Canyon?
Yes, ma'am. He was supposed to meet up with our uncle and told me that if he didn't come back last night, and definitely if he didn't come back in the morning, that I needed to call you guys. He's been part of a missing persons thing, and Mike has been acting very aggressive and hostile towards us.
Not only is Cassandra claiming her brother Kane is also missing, but she's suggesting that her uncle Mike might have something to do with it. Once investigators catch wind of this 911 call, they immediately sense something is off. The timing is highly suspicious, almost as if it's part of a plan to deflect suspicion away from Kane. So later that day, officers are sent to her address with one goal in mind: assess the situation and determine whether her claims hold any weight or if it's just an attempt to mislead the investigation.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Are you Candace?
No, Candace is across the street.
Okay, are you Cassandra?
I am.
Okay. So my name's Ryan Poston Reader.
Hi.
I'm a detective with the Ruidoso Police Department.
Hello.
Do you have a second to talk to me?
What's up?
So did you make a 911 call for a welfare check?
I did for Kane Mays.
For Kane? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was you that made that call?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Have you heard from Kane?
I have not.
No, you still haven't heard from him?
I have not.
How do you know Kane?
He's my brother.
It's your brother?
Or my half-brother.
And when was the last time you heard from him?
He was supposed to go up to meet with Mike, I think on the 21st. He told me that if he didn't show up by the morning of the 22nd, that I needed to file a missing persons report because I already have 3 family members missing. Killian and Mary were supposed to go up to Albuquerque. I haven't seen those two alive since 11/23. Give me just a second.
Okay.
Officers have no clue at this point, but Cassandra isn't alone. Right this moment, their prime suspect, Kane Mays, is hiding inside the very house they're standing in front of.
Sorry, we're also having issues with a psychotic ex of mine. So
Oh, jeez. You're going through a lot right now.
a little bit. And then with Kane going missing and Mike presumably having like over half of his guns. It's a really, really long story.
Okay.
And not one that I'm 100% familiar with because Kane just came back into my life September of last year. So like, I wish I had all my facts straight.
I completely understand. No big deal. How did they come into your life?
But through Kane.
Okay. So Kane comes into your life, and then now you meet Mary and Killian.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then now all of them are missing.
Mm-hmm.
And have you did you ever have direct contact with Mike?
I never had direct contact with Mike, no. I just heard him screaming from the hill both times.
As she did earlier, Cassandra doubles down on her accusations, suggesting that officers should focus on Mike, implying he may be involved in the disappearances. Officers take note of her statements and ask her to give them a call if Kane shows up again. Their goal remains unclear, but now that they have a story, they can start verifying. So a few hours later, as police continue looking for Kane, an officer decides to stop by the neighborhood again and speak with Cassandra's neighbors to see if they've heard or seen anything. According to them, Cassandra hasn't been living alone. A man with long dark hair has been staying with her for the past few months. Additionally, witnesses report seeing the same man driving Victor's missing green Subaru, and that it was also seen parked outside Cassandra's residence multiple times. Realizing the description of the man matches Kane, officers return to the station to dig deeper into Cassandra's earlier claims, where they will very quickly uncover some major contradictions. Even though Cassandra insisted she had only recently met Kane, investigators discover an older Facebook photo of the two together, proof they've known each other for years. But that's just the first lie, because officers who were out looking for Kane also recover surveillance footage from a nearby Walmart, showing Kane and Cassandra shopping together alongside her sons and daughter. Besides buying groceries and food, investigators spot cleaning supplies like bleach and vinegar, along with multiple bottles of kerosene, items that closely align with what would be needed to clean up a violent crime and start a fire. At this point, investigators are unsure if Cassandra is actively hiding a wanted fugitive or if she's being controlled and forced to cooperate with someone who has already killed 3 members of her own family. With suspicion mounting, detectives obtain a search warrant for Cassandra's house. Then, around 8 p.m. that night, a group of officers return to the property, taking up positions outside the house as they prepare to raid it.
Occupants of 7 Morningside. This is the Roswell Police Department. Exit the front door with your hands up. Do it now.
You got a shield?
Yep. Roswell Police, search warrant! Guess we're just gonna have to boot this thing.
Almost. One more.
Roswell Police, anyone inside, make yourself known. Alright, we're gonna pull in. I'm gonna take left. Ready? Small room. Got another door here.
Ready?
Yep.
I'm gonna go. I got a hallway with looks like the refrigerator kitchen.
Three on me. And Cassandra Jolly's the one that lived here, huh?
Yeah.
Look, they got some La Muerte stuff right here. Santa Muerte. There's a, see that? Ready?
This is
Something
where
weird.
he's been hanging out because there's that monitor for the camera that's in the window.
One of those guys on a
I don't know
fucking
if it
terrorist
works
watch.
or not. Did you remember what those cigarette packs were?
I had a Marlboro and then I had a. Yeah, I saw that one in the closet.
There's another one. Your big cans are all over this room. Your Red Bull can.
Inside, something about the house immediately feels off to the officers as they observe unusual posters, graffiti, and other unsettling details scattered throughout. They then make their way into the bathroom, where one officer recalls hearing that something might be hidden underneath the house.
I highly doubt, but the back door was open? No, we didn't. I'm sure this is what he was referring to.
Like under all this?
That's what he said. The neighbor across the street said that he used to live here, and then there's a door underneath the washer and dryer. At least the basement. Because didn't they say there was another secret exit or something here?
There's a couple windows. What do they go to?
Do you use filled in? They look up there already or no?
Ready?
Go ahead.
Put it down.
Yeah.
I'll hold it.
No dust on it.
Oh, that'll fit.
That,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
That's too new. Still big.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Got a water leak though.
It's kind of weird to have a door right there too, huh?
At the center of the basement sits a plastic storage tote, toolbox, duffel bags, and other various items. Officers notice there's no dust on the items, and whoever left them behind was in a hurry, possibly trying to leave unnoticed. Beyond the basement, police would go on to find something highly suspicious: documents belonging to one of the victims, alongside paperwork linked to Kane's father and live .22 caliber ammunition. Following these discoveries, investigators secure the scene and begin working to obtain a real-time location warrant for Cassandra's phone. With their suspicions growing that Cassandra fled with Kane, officers know they need to locate them quickly before they vanish, potentially escaping to Canada. 12 hours later, investigators strike gold. The warrant for Cassandra's phone is successfully approved, and in a major development, Verizon pings Cassandra's phone nearly 1,000 miles away. She's no longer in New Mexico, but in Hernando, Mississippi, inside a Super 8 motel. With this discovery, the case becomes multi-state, with police in Mississippi quickly briefed on the investigation. Officers are then dispatched to locate Cassandra. This is the final phase in the case, and what happens next will determine whether police get the critical answers they need or lose the lead entirely. As officers make their way to the Super 8 motel, their primary objectives are to extract information about Kane's whereabouts, test Cassandra's statements, and determine how deeply she may have been involved in the homicide of her own relatives. When officers finally arrive at the motel, something immediately feels off.
Miss who?
Miss John. Or actually, technically, I'm Douglas because I still have my ex's last name.
So, what's going on? What are we looking at here?
I don't know. You tell me. All I know is that my brother went missing on the 21st. We were trying to investigate his property. We thought Mary and Killian had left, and then Mike came down and started being aggressive and hateful and shooting rounds. And we've already tried to file this with the Roswell Police Department down in New Mexico.
Would you consent to a search of your vehicle?
You can search the car and you can search the room. I don't care.
Okay.
Interestingly, Cassandra now seems on the verge of an emotional breakdown for reasons the officers are yet to understand. After all, only 24 hours have passed, and seemingly no new information has been relayed to her. Neither news of the murder, nor that Kane is the main suspect, nor that her house was just searched. So to get to the bottom of her emotional reaction, Mississippi officers on scene coordinate a call with Special Agent Kyle Graham in New Mexico, who's been tracking the growing list of contradictions in Cassandra's statements. Using those inconsistencies, the detective is about to carefully test Cassandra's story and see how far she cracks.
Do you mind grabbing those, taking your waffles upstairs?
I'm not upstairs, I'm downstairs.
Downstairs?
Yeah.
104.
You spoke with detectives 2 days ago at your house in Roswell, correct?
Yeah. The day the Walter showed up and I had to leave. So I brought them over here to Mississippi. Why is that anything wrong?
No, there's nothing wrong with that. What we're trying to do is we're trying to figure out what's going on with Kane and what's going on with his family.
I don't know. I haven't even, I just met Killian and my grandmother for the first time in my entire life in November.
So were they there whenever you guys were there?
No,
Where were they at?
I don't know. The house was empty and there were boxes in the middle of the living room. That was his dad's property. He was supposed to go to him afterwards, but he wasn't here. He had to go up to Canada.
And so who was driving in the dead house? Like, who could drive a car?
They all could. I know that they had that little blue car.
And who was driving the green car?
That I don't know. As far as I know, that car is not drivable.
Well, we have video of Kane driving the green Subaru.
Huh.
And we have information from the neighbors that the green Subaru was at your house at one point in time. This is what I want, okay? I just want honesty. Okay, I know you know a little bit more than what you're telling me. I don't know if you're trying to protect Kane or if you're scared.
I'm scared because I don't know what's going on.
Okay, well, we've been working this case for 3 days straight. And I know a lot more information than I'm telling you.
Of course you do.
I'm trying to see if you're going to be honest with me.
With every sentence, the detective becomes more convinced that Cassandra is hiding something she fears could incriminate her brother or even herself. But there is something a lot more concrete detectives previously uncovered, and the detective is about to leverage it to completely trap Cassandra.
Are you aware that Kane made a police report whenever he got to the house originally, the very first time, about people squatting in his father's house?
Yeah, because they weren't supposed to be there. They hadn't paid any of the mortgage on it. We found documents showing that they were still using Frank's credit cards, and Frank had been dead, and that all of the bills were still in Frank's name, and they were still using that. And so I told him that that was illegal as fuck, and he needed to make a police report because you can't be using. Don't stick that in my face, honey. That's like identity theft.
Is it true that Kane didn't even know his dad died?
Yeah. He didn't know that his dad died until he came back to States. He found his obituary. He found his obituary shortly before on the internet. That's how he figured it out.
So almost a year later, he finds out his dad died.
And I know that he's upset about that. But that's not enough reason to kill somebody. wouldn't do that.
So then what? So did he kill somebody?
No. I don't understand what you're trying to accuse him of.
Well, that didn't sound very convincing.
I don't know what he's trying to accuse him of.
That doesn't sound convincing either.
Sure enough, that doesn't sound too convincing to the detective, because Cassandra has seemingly slipped up. At this point, no one had told her that the missing family members were dead or that Kane was suspected of killing them. Realizing her mistake, Cassandra quickly starts backpedaling to regain control of the narrative.
You got anything else, Cassandra, that you want to tell me?
Do you really think Kane killed them? Or hurt them?
I'm pretty concerned. I mean, I don't think 3 people just vanish off the face of the earth, especially when 2 of them are elderly. And then Kane just comes in from Canada and all hell breaks loose. That's kind of suspicious to me.
God, I'm so stupid. I wouldn't even think to put 2 and 2 together like that. But Mike was so f***ing scary when he came down. And he was so aggressive. And I thought we were gonna die. I thought he was gonna shoot us on the property.
Well, you didn't even see that he had a gun.
Kane told me that he had one. And he was mad enough. Oh my God, he was so mad.
As a last-ditch effort, Cassandra goes back to accusing Mike of being responsible for the disappearances. But in fact, officers in New Mexico have already quietly debunked that claim, information they are holding back for the right time and place. Before leaving, they also check Cassandra's car, where they find belongings hastily packed up. But Cassandra explains this as a desperate attempt to run away from her abusive ex-boyfriend. So shortly afterwards, the officers wrap up their visit. But in doing so, they've proven something crucial. They can find Cassandra whenever they want, something she clearly didn't anticipate. It seems as though the confrontation went nearly perfectly for the detectives, but Cassandra has a crucial secret that had went unnoticed at the motel. Kane had traveled to Mississippi alongside her, was staying nearby, and had successfully hidden from officers, marking yet another moment where she misleads police about his whereabouts. So less than an hour after police leave the motel, the two would begin plotting, coming up with a plan they think will get them out of this gruesome mass murder. At 2 p.m., Cassandra's vehicle is seen in front of the Hernando Police Department. Kane would step out and calmly walk into the station. 15 minutes later, Kane would be seated in the department's interview room 2, alongside Detective Stovall. The sudden appearance of Kane would leave detectives with little room to prepare, so Special Agent Silva, a New Mexico detective already working this case, would be placed on call to assist in the interview. It's important to note that this is an interview and not an interrogation, as Kane has agreed to speak voluntarily and has not been detained. In reality, this interview can only work against him, but in his mind, this is both his and Cassandra's final chance at freedom. Agent Silva would begin the interview by making this crystal clear.
And before we get any further, I do want to let you know that you are not under Miranda rights. You are not anything like that. You are free to leave at any point. You don't have to answer any of my questions, anything like that. You can say, hey, I don't want to answer that question. If you don't want to, we can go over another question and we can skip to the next one. But I do want to let you know that you are free to leave, okay?
Thank you, sir.
All right.
After realizing he's free to walk out at any time, Kane shifts tactics. He begins probing the detective for information, trying to figure out how much investigators have bought into the false narrative he's been intentionally feeding them.
Can I ask you something? It's, on one hand, kind of nice to talk to somebody from Otero. Also, maybe a little concerning. Did we have to speak directly because I'm considered a missing person?
Well, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. Is there's so many like missing persons. There's a lot of phone calls to the sheriff's office. So, like, why would somebody be saying that you're missing? And then there's also some other missing reports going on. Like, there's a lot of firearms missing, right? There's a lot of vehicles missing. I want to talk to you and get your side of the story of what's going on.
I was trying to come in and speak with somebody in person.
And what happened with that?
On my way down to Alamogordo, I gave another uncle a phone call because I had seen him on the property and he was a very looming presence at the time. I was hoping to stop in and ask him about some things and some personal aspects that were going on. I wound up getting run off the property and had to kind of go into hiding because I know his influence and the extent of his company.
Okay, well, which uncle is that?
Mike Blett.
So Mike ran you off the property. You had questions for him. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes, sir.
So when did this happen?
It was when I was on my way down on the 21st. I kind of explained the situation to my sister a little bit, and I told her, if you don't hear from me, call somebody.
I know I keep jumping around and just trying to confirm everything. You went to Mike's house to talk to him and he shot at you, correct?
Yes, sir.
Because I want to talk to Mike about that. Like, why are you shooting at people through front doors? That's kind of dangerous.
That was the suite that was on the 21st. I would absolutely appreciate you taking a look.
Kane makes his alibi clear. Mike, the man who kicked the entire investigation off in the first place, is the suspect detectives need to be focusing on, alleging he shot at them through the front door when they approached the home. Unfortunately, detectives have spent far more time investigating than Kane realizes, allowing Agent Silva to completely debunk Kane's story. Simply put, there are no bullet holes or any signs of a shooting on the property.
Okay. So here's the thing, Kane, is I'm gonna start going through some of your story here. Okay, that's not making sense to me. I'm not saying that you're lying. I'm just saying I don't think it's fully there yet, if that makes sense.
It was kind of cut off in process.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
You went to Mike's house. Mike shot at you this week through the front door. You announced yourself. How come you didn't call 911?
I know that they very much do not take too kindly to law enforcement.
Okay.
And I kind of really hope for that to be avoided.
So here's the thing on that, is I have some investigators that are there at Mike's house, that have been to at Mike's house. There are no bullet holes through his front door. There are no bullet holes through the siding. They're not seeing you on his cameras at his house. So that's what I'm saying, is some of it's not making sense. So did you actually go to Mike's house and knock on the door?
I did.
Because you're not on camera.
Did they check?
And his cameras go back this week. They go back last week. I'm not seeing you anywhere on there.
We had a ton of different game cams that are all on their SD cards. He doesn't have any of the chips from the 21st?
No, I'm saying he has video surveillance of this week and of last week, but they are not seeing you anywhere on the cameras.
Kane appears shocked by these details. Whatever he thought happened that could favor his story simply didn't. Kane would sit in silence for an extended period of time, seemingly in denial that his plan was so terribly miscalculated.
If they still have the footage, they should totally show me pulling up. I parked along the mailbox. Kind of behind it a bit, not necessarily pulled up past it. Walked right up the drive up to it's kind of tucked in between the slope on the hill, and then it goes into the house where the stone steps are. That metal storm door.
Okay. Which one else?
I'm just trying to give you a path so that you can see. And that was early afternoonish. I got there between 1 and 3 o'clock, I believe it was. have to look at the file, but I don't have it. But if they have that footage still, then I'm definitely on it.
Kane proceeds to give a nearly 10-minute explanation of where he was parked. Unnecessarily complex explanations like these are usually a telltale sign to the detectives that the suspect has shifted into a defensive state, looking for any validation that the detective is believing their lies. Agent Silva takes note of this and begins leaning deeper, this time pressing Kane on his sister Cassandra and her potential involvement. Previously, police recovered and documented strange items during the home's crime scene search, and it's still unclear why they were there. Silva plans to use these details to force Kane into defending Cassandra's innocence, a tactic that will create a contradicting story compared to what Cassandra told officers just hours prior.
So, are you aware that we spoke to Cassandra?
Yes, sir.
And the reason I ask is I'm just trying to get, like, if something happened up there, Kane, I want to know, like, was there an argument going on? Because I know that you were up there in January. Okay, we can kind of get away from that. You were up there in January. If something happened up there, I want to know what happened. Okay, if there was an argument, if something happened, like, kind of help me help you. Okay, what happened when you were up there in January of this year?
I'm trying to figure out everything that has happened as well. That's part of why I wanted to speak with you guys and kind of get you involved in looking.
Because I'm going to be honest with you, I'm confused on these timelines. You were up there this week at some point, and you were up there last week at some point. So what happened this week and last week while you were up there with the family? That's what I want to know.
They weren't there. Nothing's happened.
Where you were at the house in Bent on the 18th of January, correct?
I'm not sure.
The reason I ask is because Cassie has been in contact, and she showed us a screenshot January 18th at 3:57. It's between you and her that says, "Wait quietly and say, wait for me."
That's actually something that I was gonna try to find.
And it says, I believe this is from you or from her.
That's the text that says "wait for me" and it says "I'm safe."
I'm sorry?
Those are the texts that say to wait and that I'm safe.
It says, "I'm safe, wait for me," and then there's a response that says, "Gotcha. I have eyes on the front. So far, so good."
That's the day that Mike came up to bed.
Okay.
At this point, Kane must be starting to realize Cassandra may not have been on his side as much as he had thought. Not only are the police beginning to take a clear side, but his only teammate might be against him as well, perhaps explaining why she dropped him off at the police station. Note that Kane at this point can avoid any question he wants, and more importantly, can leave whenever he wants. Even Agent Silva decides to take a brief step away from the phone, but Kane would stay, instead letting the officer in the room in on what's going through his mind.
Between you, me, and the walls, I really think that someone is trying to pin years worth of shit on me because I came back home at the wrong time and interrupted something.
I'm just here helping these guys. What you really got going on? What? So I ask him the questions. I'm just sitting here.
Mr. Silva seems like a trustworthy detective. I used to joke, though, and I always say I make a great scapegoat. I'm kind of hoping it's not the case this time. I came here today to ask you guys for help and talk to people that I knew wouldn't be necessarily under an outside influence.
Right.
But do you see how it looks for us? I mean, they've shown physical evidence of this whole situation. And
you're one day you're here in Mississippi, no ties to Mississippi at all. Like, you have no family here.
No, sir.
You have nothing here.
No, sir. My family died, man.
if I was in that seat and a detective 13 hours away on a cell phone call told me that who are they to you?
My brother, my grandmother, and my uncle.
Your brother, your grandmother, your uncle. If somebody called me and said, not only was my brother killed, but also your grandmother and your uncle were killed. If somebody told me that over a phone, you know what I would be doing?
I think I did.
Do you know what I would be doing? I wouldn't be sitting there staring at a wall. I'd be bawling my eyes out. I'd be throwing the water bottle across the room. I'd probably rip this table out of the wall.
Yeah, but then you guys just rush in here and...
But I wouldn't give a shit.
Out of me.
I wouldn't give a shit. Because of how much I'm close with my brother. I'm not close with my grandma. But it's still with the fact that somebody did that to my family. Do you understand where I'm coming from?
Well, they asked what I think should happen to Mike or whomever did this, and in polite company I couldn't say, but back where I'm from, they'd be up from a tree.
Right. So that's more of a response that you would expect. But the issue I'm having is there's no emotion. You've expressed no sadness. We're not getting anything. Which leads me to believe you already knew this had occurred.
I didn't know that.
Look.
Even the officers with no context of the case can't help but assume Kane was involved in the murders, leaving him to sit in silence as he realizes how poorly this voluntary interview has gone. Agent Silva would return and continue pressing Kane for answers, eventually revealing that he had, in fact, been inside the house multiple times the week of the 3 victims' disappearance, and admitted to helping Cassandra travel to Mississippi with her kids, something she lied about earlier in the motel. Even worse for Kane is that, as the hours-long interview progressed, officers behind the scenes were already taking action. They were instructed to locate his uncle's stolen green Subaru, which they suspected Kane used to drive to Mississippi alongside Cassandra's own vehicle. After looking through surveillance footage and searching around the city, officers hit the jackpot and tracked down the missing car. Inside, they found latex gloves, .22 caliber ammunition, an empty Ruger pistol box, and most importantly, Kane's passport, tying him directly to the stolen vehicle. Now investigators have exactly what they've been missing: probable cause. And with that, Kane is no longer free to leave, and he's about to find out just how massively his attempt to clear himself and Cassandra backfired.
How's it going, bud? You mind there? Yourself. You mind standing up for me real quick? Yes, sir. Turn around, facing this wall.
Yes, sir.
Put your hands on the wall for me. All right. So what's going on, man, is you're going to be going down to the Soda County Sheriff's Office, all right? You're going down to our jail, all right?
Yes, sir.
All right, walk this way.
Back at the Motel 8 in Mississippi, Cassandra would patiently wait for Kane to return, give her a call, or just show any signs his interview was over. But as hours passed, it became clear that something had gone terribly wrong. Growing worried, Cassandra packed her bags and fled alongside her children, making yet another 1,000-mile drive back to New Mexico. Detectives keep tracking her phone signal until it finally stops at her parents' house. By this point, investigators have more than enough to justify Cassandra's arrest. But one critical question still remains. Was she directly involved in the murders? And if so, to what extent? Because of that uncertainty, officers make a deliberate decision. Rather than moving in aggressively, only 4 investigators go to the house, keeping the encounter calm and cooperative. Their goal is to interview Cassandra on the property and, if possible, apply enough pressure to turn her against Kane. If they can do this, they'll be able to pin both Kane and Cassandra against each other, forcing them to incriminate themselves.
This is Bryce Daly. He's with Lincoln County Sheriff's Office. He's a client on team. Okay? No. So there's not 100 of us today, there's just 3 of us.
Do you want me to start from the beginning from what I know? Or do you want to ask me all the questions first?
No, I'm gonna let you tell your story, and just so that you know, you're not under arrest. You're free to leave whenever you want to leave. We came to you because we talked on the phone earlier through the text.
And what I told her is she needs to stop overthinking everything. You're trying to be a detective herself because she's seen all this stuff and she's trying to put pieces together and knows that he was lying to her about things. So just start at the beginning and tell it like you told us.
So I wanted to apologize to you because whenever I spoke to you the last time, I wasn't thinking straight.
Not only is Cassandra much more cooperative this time, but she quickly admits that she had been dishonest before and even apologizes. Her father's comment makes it seem like she's on the verge of throwing Kane under the bus, which is exactly what investigators are here for. So with the reassurance that she's not under arrest, Cassandra begins to share some much-needed details about how 3 of her relatives ended up mysteriously dead.
So I know on Thursday, we were driving up there and we had just went through Ruidoso, and he said that he wanted to stop by Bent right quick. So he said, okay, drop me off here, wait here, and I will let you know if I need anything. I've probably left him alone for like 45 minutes-ish.
Where does he go?
He's inside the house.
Okay.
And he says that he couldn't find anything, don't know where anybody's at, and that it's okay for me to come inside. And I go inside, and like I kept telling you, it smelled fucking weird in there. Almost like something had like died within the walls, like an animal or something. I was already concerned by the fact that he felt like something had happened. So I'm trying to rationalize through that, and he's just saying, I'll do it, and we're doing things legally, it's okay. And then he has me help him, he drives the car off somewhere and has me help him push it off into like this little ditch thing. And at one point, whenever I tried to say, hey, you guys, like, you need to call somebody, he said that the majority of the cops up there are crooked. I worked in the ER down here. I can see how you can think that sometimes, for sure. No offense. So like, no offense to you guys either.
Investigators are clearly not fond of Cassandra's strange remark. Though by now, it's becoming clear to detectives that Cassandra is putting Kane at the center of everything, while noticeably avoiding any direct mention of the murders, the cleanup, or the burned bodies. Instead, she frames everything vaguely, claiming Kane suspected something happened inside the house, but they didn't look too deeply into it, and that she was simply helping him deal with a property dispute. Investigators allow Cassandra to continue telling her story, but the more she talks, the more convoluted her version of events becomes. Then at this point, she even invites them inside, where the story only grows longer. After nearly 2 hours of listening, Agent Kyle Graham decides it's time to push back.
So now we're gonna get into my portion, okay? I don't know, there's been probably a team of 15 of us on this case. So we know a lot of stuff, we know everything about that property. And some of the stuff that you're saying does make sense and does add up. However, some of the stuff that you're saying doesn't make sense to me and doesn't add up. And quite frankly, I don't think some of it happened. But I will tell you right now, I don't feel like Kane could have done everything that he did alone. And I think he included you into a whole mess of a situation. I don't believe that you killed anybody in this house or on that property. I strongly believe that. I don't think that you had any part of murdering people. But I do strongly believe that he fucked himself and he needed help, and you're a helpful person, and he put you in a shitty spot and said, help me. I need help cleaning this property, I need help cleaning all this blood up, and I need help getting these fucking bodies out of this house. But now's your chance. I'm giving you the opportunity, because I'm telling you right now, I have all that I need. The gig's up, the game's over. Okay? This is your opportunity and your chance to tell me, what did he make you do? What did he ask you to help him to do?
All I know of is that he wanted me to undo the headboards, the couch. But
You noticed no blood on that? Think about it before you answer that.
Not the side that I picked it up from, no. All I did was what he asked me to do.
But you understand, all you did what he asked you to do. It's too late. You already helped him. That's already a crime.
Which
It's too
I
late.
know that. And
So-
that's the reason why I asked if I needed an attorney, because I tampered with evidence.
Correct. So
And it wasn't until after the fact that I sat there and I thought about it, because he said that everything was found that way.
the charge is already there. There's not going to be any more of. It's not going to get any worse, other than you just telling the truth of what happened. The charge is there. You already have a tampering with evidence charge on a first-degree murder. Okay, that's a second-degree felony.
Needless to say, this is not what Cassandra is hoping to hear. In this moment, she realizes her days of freedom may be numbered if she continues twisting the facts to protect both herself and Kane. Cassandra knows something has to give, so after hearing what's awaiting her, she asks to step outside for a smoke, and this is where she finally gives detectives a small piece of the truth.
Like I said, I went out there. I went out to the store.
Mm-hmm.
And I came back. He said that he found them that way.
He said what?
That way?
So what did he tell you he found?
People on the floor.
How many people?
3.
And who are they?
Julian, Mary, and Victor. I signed up to take him to a job interview. I didn't sign up for him to do this.
Do you now believe that he did it?
I don't know what to believe. I just know that there was a mess, and then there was a lot of illegal shit. Lots of illegal shit.
What else did you help clean up inside the house? Besides the blood?
And the furniture, taking it out.
Yeah.
And I didn't see how bad the furniture was.
Did you help clean up anything else?
There's so many red flags going on right now of you saying that you walked into this house and King telling you, holy shit, I just walked into a house and all my family's dead. Let's get rid of them.
That does
Do you see
sound
how-
really stupid.
Doesn't it sound stupid that when you say it out loud? Because I guarantee you, I walk into a house with my family dead, shit's about to hit the fan because we got to figure out what the hell just happened. And I'm calling the cops.
I don't...
We're telling you, we've done our research. I've gotten 0 sleep in 5 days. We're not letting this go. This is a triple homicide.
And not letting it go is exactly what investigators are going to spend the rest of the day trying to do, hoping Cassandra will eventually crack and give them the full story. Unfortunately, though, this is the closest they will get to a real admission, as Cassandra begins to backpedal and returns to a revised version of events where she claims they found their family members already dead. They then simply decide to cover up the scene to avoid getting in trouble because Kane believed the police were corrupt. Detectives would spend until nightfall pressing Cassandra with no success, and she ultimately sticks to the same story. So before ending the interview and leaving, Agent Graham has one more rather strange question that's been on his mind all this time.
He had access to my phone. He knew my passwords. Like I said, I trusted him. He was supposed to be my brother.
Can I ask you a really weird question?
Sure.
No, never mind.
No, go for it.
Why'd you guys buy a brand new box of condoms?
No, that was a joke. It should be the skin on latex. And I had bought those in Chattanooga.
Is it him and hers?
And I threw them at Walter. Because I was tired of having kids and I was tired of being pregnant all the time.
But why would they be in the Bent house?
I don't know. Why would they be in the Bent house?
That's why I have a weird question.
Last time I knew about them, they were in the they were at my house.
Well, this was in the well house with all of the cleanup.
He told me that there was a possibility that Corinne wasn't his mother due to DNA results. And that there was a potential that he had feelings for me.
Kane?
Mm-hmm.
And that's not weird for you? Like, to be around him with your kids when you guys are pretty much brother and sister?
Like, it was weird, but he never acted on it.
I thought you guys were step-siblings, not half-siblings.
No, we're half siblings.
Well, because we also found a pregnancy test.
Yep, I had a one-night stand at the Variety, and I didn't start my period on time. And I panic, and I overthink, and there should be 4 of them.
The detective's tone makes it clear they aren't convinced, suspecting Kane and Cassandra are hiding important details about their relationship. By now, though, what investigators came here to do is partially successful. Even though there's still no direct admission tying their suspects to the killings, Cassandra has implicated both herself and Kane in the cover-up. Because of this, Cassandra is officially detained and brought back to the police station. What exactly was said during Cassandra's arrest remains unknown, but the pressure appears to have completely broken her. In the hours that followed, she went on to further incriminate Kane, seemingly doing everything she could to distance herself from what happened, no matter the cost to him. A betrayal that would later come as a complete shock to Kane.
All I knew is that I had PTSD from the last time he saw cops. Because there was my blood all over the floor and my head through the wall, and I was trying to protect him from that. If he was really as innocent as he said he was, then there was going to be nothing to hide, right? Which is why I dropped him off at the jail.
I was pretty shocked that he showed up at the police department in Mississippi.
Because I told him if he was as innocent as he told me that he was, if he really found them the way they were, then that's all he had to tell you guys. And you would figure out the rest.
In the following days, Kane is brought into an interrogation room, this time in an orange jumpsuit, for what would be his final interview. Agent Graham is assigned to conduct the interview, the same investigator who previously spoke with Cassandra and secured her confession. By this stage, Graham knows the case inside and out, and he approaches the interview with a deliberate strategy, intent on extracting as much information as possible. And in this case, that's exactly what's needed, because now, more than ever, detectives need a confession. Right as the interrogation begins, Kane makes a desperate attempt to ensure Cassandra is keeping her story together. He seems to be completely unaware that Cassandra isn't protecting him anymore.
Do you happen to have a pen handy?
I do.
Do you have her number? Because I have it in my wallet at the jail, but they won't let me access it. And I need to make sure that she's okay because she mentioned wanting to go back down to New Mexico. And after doing it once, that's already a hard enough trip.
Well, I talked to her Sunday when she got back into Roswell.
I don't even know what the date is, man.
At this point, Kane still believed Cassandra was in Mississippi and hadn't spoken to officers since their first contact. Unfortunately, not only did Cassandra confess since then, but she did it in front of the very detective, sitting just feet away.
So, I talked to her on Sunday. I traveled to Roswell when she got in. I talked to her for probably, I don't know, more than 2, less than 4 hours, okay? And then on Monday, I traveled to Roswell again, and I talked to her again.
Okay.
For about, I don't know, 2 hours. Okay? But I learned a lot from her. Okay? And I'm hoping that I'm going to learn more from you. I don't want to call anybody a liar, but I think there's some inconsistencies with your statements. Because I want you to know that there's going to be a lot of questions that I ask you that I already know the answer to, but this is going to be a test for you to see if you're being truthful with me. Okay? Because I know it's the truth, because I've been working this case since Wednesday the 22nd. Okay?
After Agent Graham makes it obvious Kane is on his own now, the interview demeanor changes fast. He wastes no time bringing up Cassandra's confession and placing it directly against Kane, making it clear that detectives are no longer relying on his version of events alone.
Did you hurt anybody inside that house, including Victor, Killian, and Mary?
No, sir.
So, how does Victor, Killian, and Mary just mysteriously go missing?
I've been trying to find out the same.
You do understand, though, that we found all 3 of them, correct? I believe Special Agent Silva did tell you that.
He alluded to something that I was really hoping is not truthful.
So I'm not really one to beat around the bush, okay? I just call it like it is, okay? But Cassie's told me everything that's happened, okay? She told me the involvement. She told me what you guys did. That you walked into the house, you found all 3 of them dead. You guys picked up their bodies, you put them in the blue Subaru, you drove it up the hill, you guys both tipped it over. She's told me it all. Okay, you guys used the little green dolly to pick him up and put him on the dolly, wheel him out to the car. You tied a rope around Killian's waist, hooked the rope up to your dad's hitch, and drove the car to pull him into the back seat. So the gig's up, Kane, okay? I told you I don't beat around the bush. I've worked over 100 hours in 1 week, okay? This is serious. So now, this is your opportunity and your chance to tell me your side of the story. Cassie's told me hers.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
As Kane sits in silence, the realization sets in. He's on his own now, and whatever story he had planned coming into this interrogation has now been flipped entirely on its head. But Agent Graham presents the story strategically. By laying it out exactly as Cassandra described it, he gives Kane an opening to admit only to helping conceal the murders, while shifting responsibility for the actual killings onto someone else. If he can get this confession first, it'll be significantly easier to get Kane to confess to the killings later on.
Do you want to start back at the beginning? And I know the date that all this happened also.
I can tell you what happened. I can't tell you why. I don't know. I was trying to find out. I fucked up your crime scene, and I'm sorry for that.
Is everything that I just said, what Cassie told me, is that accurate?
To a degree.
And what isn't?
When we went to the house that day.
And it's just you and Cassie?
Yeah.
Not the kids?
No. There's a witness too.
And who is that?
The mailman. He can attest to this.
Like the postal man that drives and delivers the mail in the mailboxes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We had gotten there just before him. He went up. I told her to hang tight for a minute because that meant that everybody would be awake. And that was kind of looking hopeful. Killian was up and moving about. And I knocked on the door. I told him, hey, you just missed the postman. And he was real fidgety. He was scratching his head a lot. He was irritated. And I told him, hey, I got some good news. Everything's moving along with the mortgage company. We're looking to move in and we ought to be all set by like the end of the month. Everything should be good. They got my process, or my status is pending. He closed the door. And I watched him take the mail off to the bedroom. And then he went back. And I shit you not, I heard like... Must have been 20 gunshots. I didn't even think to do the front door. I just ran around to the side, came through my door. And it wasn't closed all the way. I ran through the bedroom. My Uncle Vic was laying in his doorway with a gun in one hand. His other was like shaking, just kind of like floating there. And Killian was across from him. I don't know why. I don't know who shot. I don't know.
So where... I'm sorry, Kane, but I don't mean to be an ass, okay? But I know when you were going down this road that that's where you were headed, okay? That one of them did all this. The evidence...
They both had guns.
Kane and Victor both had guns.
Killian,
sorry.
They both had fucking guns, and they told me there weren't any left in the house.
Where are they? You and Cassie were the only ones in there. So what'd you guys do with the guns? Do you see that I've been doing this for a long time, okay? I'm not dumb. This isn't my first homicide, okay?
Kane falls directly into Agent Graham's trap, confessing to concealing the bodies and giving a terribly thought-out lie about who committed the murders. But Graham doesn't stop there and begins pressing further, letting Kane know that nothing he can say at this point will dig him out of his grave.
I'm not
hurt my family.
I'm not gonna lie to you though, Kane. Like this was a pretty tough one for us. This took a lot of time. This is the most that we've ever spent on a case, by the way. This is the farthest we've been to investigate one, too. And I mean, the whole wrapping the rope around Killian's waist and pulling him in with the other car, I mean, that was pretty creative. And I'm being serious. I'm not being a smartass. I don't know how I would have got him in the car either. I don't know how I would have got him on the wagon. That's 200 pounds dead weight. 280 pounds dead weight. That's a lot. I mean, you're not much bigger than me. I mean, think about how crazy that sounds, though.
No,
like you were cremating them, and you went up there on the 22nd and you burned them, right? After you and her put chain link over the top of the car with the little camouflage tarp thing and all the sticks and brush covering it.
I did try to offer them a cremation.
I mean, that was nice of you.
But I didn't hurt them.
Because the rest of the family didn't get to say their goodbyes.
There aren't enough of us left.
And I mean, I gotta give it to you too. Using the come-alongs and the steel pipe to prop it over to get it dumped over. Like, this is one of the most creative homicides that I've seen.
I didn't hurt anybody, sir. I would never hurt my family.
Well, but Kane, that's what they all say. I don't buy that you didn't do it. I'm sorry. I can't. I think Cassie's full of shit on a lot of things, but I don't think she's full of shit on that. And I'm not so sure that she wasn't involved in it, to be honest with you.
She wasn't even there, sir.
Okay, well, I'm telling you right now, Cassie's in jail. That's why you can't get a hold of her.
Then I need an attorney.
Okay.
Sir.
My next question is, are you going to sign a waiver of extradition to go back to Mexico, or do you want us to have to get a governor's warrant and you set up here in our jail for months?
Do you mean New Mexico?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think, Detective?
I can't tell you, but I can serve you with this target notice, okay? These are the charges that are being filed against you. This is what we're going for grand jury, okay?
I can't accept that.
Well, it's not an option. These are the charges.
That's what's coming against me.
Yes, sir. These are your charges.
Clearly, Kane doesn't seem to understand the law, and he'll be fighting the charges regardless of whether he accepts them or not. On paper, Kane is charged with an array of crimes, including arson, aggravated burglary, and 3 counts of first-degree murder. Additionally, Cassandra would be officially charged following the interrogation, also getting 3 counts of first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and tampering with evidence. In the weeks that follow, detectives and prosecutors begin assembling the full picture. The blood patterns inside the house, the cleanup supplies, the burned Subaru, the shell casings, the clothing, the phone records, and Cassandra's own statements describing the disposal of the bodies. And after countless sleepless nights, investigators believe they have finally pieced together what happened. Victor, Mary, and Killian were killed near the south bedroom and kitchen before being moved through the house. Their bodies were then loaded into Victor's blue Subaru, which Kane allegedly drove into the canyon, pushed over a ditch, and set on fire. Kane's shifting stories and control of the green Subaru point investigators towards him as the primary actor, while Cassandra's admissions place her squarely in the cleanup and cover-up. Detectives see Kane returning from Canada as the start of a growing grievance over what he believes is rightfully his. 22 acres of family land. They allege that a dispute over the property motivated Kane and that he drew Cassandra into a plan to cover up the deaths and claim control of the land. For now, both remain presumed innocent unless and until they are proven guilty in court. If convicted, they could each face multiple life sentences under New Mexico law with decades behind bars before any possibility of parole. As for Mike, Lourdes, and the other relatives, they can rest safely for now, praying that those responsible never see the light of day again.